to myself again. Punditry only.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters. It is match day live and it is quarter-finals night, and I didn't ever think I would be saying that under Steve Bruce. It's got to be said. Newcastle United are in the Carabao Cup quarter-finals and they are facing Brentford. It's a big opportunity for Newcastle to get to the semi-finals for the first time since they got to the final in 1976. So, big opportunity, huge opportunity for Newcastle to potentially get some silverware and end that barren run that we've had since 1955 for a domestic trophy or 69 for a European trophy. Let's hope that the lads can do it. As always, I'll be joined by a panel tonight. A few of the guys out doing some last-minute Christmas shopping, but will be joining us in due course. So early starters tonight have joined me already, and there's Chris coming in as well. Just bear with us, I'll let him in. Let's have a look at the team. Good evening, Chris. Yeah, I mean, you haven't missed a great deal. There is the team up on the screen now for everybody who hasn't seen it. Carl Darlow continues in goal, despite the fact that Dubravka has now been pictured at training. A lot of people thinking that Dubravka might have been in. We mentioned it last night, and he's not. Darlow keeps his place. Dubravka clearly not quite ready at this moment in time. We have DeAndre Yedlin. We have Isaac Hayden. We have Kieran Clark, Jamal Lewis, John Joe Shelby, who is captaining the team, Sean Longstaff, Jacob Murphy, Ryan Fraser, Miguel Almiron and Callum Wilson. Quite a strong team. On the bench, Gillespie, Carroll, Joe Linton, Ritchie, Gale, Hendrick and Kraft. And the starting 11 for Brentford, they line up as follows: Daniels, Fosu, Pinnock, Sorensen, Thompson, Janelt, De Silva, Emiliano, Godos, Canos and Fours. And on the bench, which you would expect, and somebody who's certainly been very interesting, well, causing a lot of interest amongst the fan base, and that's Ivan Toney. He is on the bench for Brentford, so they are resting a few. So Shane, over to you, mate. What do you make of that starting lineup?
I think Brentford's the one that surprises me the most. I mean, I don't know when they were in a quarter final last, but it surprises me that they left so many first team starters out. I guess that's a good thing for us, and they are concentrating on getting promoted. As much as the fan base doesn't like Steve Bruce, I think one of the things about him, and he's always maintained, is he will give the cup runs a good shout. I think he's maintained that tonight. I think in terms of the starting lineup, it couldn't be much stronger than it is. Jamal Lewis, I probably would have started Paul Dummett. I don't know if Paul Dummett's gone off injured against Leeds. I turned off when he went to 4-2. I just couldn't be fucked anymore. So I don't know if Paul Dummett's out still. It might give Jamal Lewis some confidence going in today. If he has a good performance, he can take that into the weekend. But I'm happy with the team. I don't think there's much more that Steve Bruce could put out there. I don't know if his job's on the line. On social media, some people are saying that if he get knocked out tonight, he could be sacked. I don't necessarily think that's the case. But against Brentford, you would expect to win it. Though if you look at the odds, we aren't favourites, which is kind of surprising, kind of not, I guess. But I'm happy with the lineup. I think with the team that Brentford have got out there, I think we should be able to put in a decent performance. But it's Newcastle, man. You never know what the scoreline's going to end up as. But in terms of the lineup, pretty happy.
Good stuff. Okay, Daz, just want to say once again, thanks for everything you did at the weekend. Great performance by you and Martin and the lads. Wonderful bit of presenting from you guys. I did watch it back as well, but well done, lads. Not easy, and you definitely stepped up to the mark. So well done.
Cheers, Steve. I think Martin's off filming in another show tonight, Sunderland Till I Die or something like that. I think it could be something like that. But he might join us later. So
the Irish Ant deck. I'm sure they'll have another opportunity. Anyway, there's your lineup, mate. What did you make of it?
Yeah, okay, happy enough because he's gone with a strong squad and he's playing the players in the positions that they're most comfortable in. Okay, he's going with Yedlin at the right back. My Kraft isn't a favourite of mine, but I might have got stuck Kraft in there. And he's gone with Sean Longstaff. I might have gone with Henrik just to give Longstaff a break. Lewis is back after his break. We've got Richie on the bench, Gale on the bench. I might have started Gale, but it's good to have him if we need him. But yeah, happy enough with the selection for Newcastle, and then I'm Brentford. I'm kind of surprised they've kind of rested a few players really. Doing a bit of kind of analysis on them today because I wouldn't have seen them that often. Ivan Toney, surprised he's not starting, and then Brian Malimbo. He looked good in the clips I saw. And then just doing a bit of analysis on the manager, Thomas Frank. He's the highest winning percentage of any Brentford manager to manage 100 matches for Brentford. And we have Steve Bruce. So but I think we have a chance tonight. Now I was pegging us for the win to start with, but I thought it might be difficult. It might have to go to penalties or something. But seeing that the rest of the few players, it might be. I'm not going to say easier, but it might go in our favour.
Okay, Jason Carter, good evening from Stuttgart, Germany. Let's see what tonight brings. And Jason, thank you very much, mate. He has actually sent me a bottle of wine for Christmas. You can't quite see the name on it there, but it's called Trollinger, which is well thought of, mate. Under the circumstances we've found ourselves in on the Newcastle timeline on Twitter over the last few months. But thanks very much for that, mate. That was very well received. You didn't have to, mate, but thank you very much for that, Jason. Much appreciated, and thanks for your kind words about the show. Pete, good evening, mate.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Hope you got your Christmas shopping done.
What? just about. It was a nightmare today in Leicester. Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare everywhere else, to be fair, as well, mate. Let's hope it's not a nightmare in this match tonight. Look, I think it's a strong team. What's your thoughts on Steve Bruce's 11?
Well, it shouldn't be a nightmare tonight because we've gone for a strong team. Look. Let's face it, everyone's looking at that team and the reaction, certainly on social media, was of shock because it is a strong team. And there's no excuses tonight. We keep saying it. There are no excuses. That is a team that should be getting us through to the semi-finals. I've got no complaints about anyone in any position. I'm glad Darlow's starting. Yedlin, I would play. He needs the minutes. We need that pace. Hayden, purely because we've got no other centre-back really fit at the moment, so that's understandable. Jamal Lewis, I'd be giving the minutes to as well. This is an opportunity for him to really sort of put a performance in. You go through the team and it's a strong team. It's good to see Callum Wilson in. Callum Wilson had been chomping at the bit to be playing tonight. He sees goals in this game. He's goal hungry. He wants goals, and as long as he's in the team, we've got a hell of a chance of going through.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. And Chris, good evening.
Evening, Steve. You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. What do you make of that starting lineup for Newcastle tonight, then?
Do you know what? All day, I think I've been saying to you all, I've been dreading it. As in, the game tonight, because I'm just worried. Like, I know how Thomas Frank plays. I know Brentford's are very much like a Leeds, well, the EFL version of Leeds, as I call them. So I've been a little bit nervous about tonight. But the fact that they've started with a weaker team is great. Ivan Toney being out's a massive thing. I'm really surprised they've gone with that because he's probably going to be more so than anybody up for this game than anybody else on the pitch. So I'm really surprised he's not playing. And the 11 that we've put out, I'm really happy with it. I mean, the only thing that I would probably say is a small negative is I didn't really want to see Longstaff today, Sean Longstaff. Because I just think he's been so disappointing in the last few games, and maybe he needs to be taken out the firing line. But on the other hand, maybe tonight might breed a little bit of confidence for him. I don't know, but yeah, it's an attacking team. I think it's the strongest team we could possibly put out. I'm really, really pleasantly surprised. I'm really looking forward to the game now because obviously if we can go through tonight, which I wasn't expecting at the start, I'll be honest. If we can somehow get through tonight. We've got some really difficult games coming up in the Premier League that I wouldn't expect us to get anything from, and maybe us being the underdog and Steve Bruce bigging up the other team, but for maybe that'll work to our advantage for a change because the players won't be expecting anything, so maybe we'll give that extra 10-20%. I don't know, but Tonight is a real big opportunity to go through. So fingers crossed that we do that.
Yeah. Shane, I mean, the press conference, as usual, Steve Bruce didn't disappoint yesterday. Painting Brentford as a danger and a big team and all that, and bigging them right up. I mean, it's clearly a strange type of psychology that Steve Bruce uses.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Bruce is normally one to get the excuses in as early as he can, to be honest with you. So it doesn't really surprise me at all. I think with the team that Brentford have put out this evening, I think it kind of contradicts what he was saying. And I think if we do go out tonight, there's not many excuses, or there's not many ways he can go about glossing over this. I think it's been a massive advantage that Brentford have put out the team that they have. Of course, we've got some players out with COVID. It's been quite interesting on social media about some of the stuff about Alan St. Maximum. Has he got COVID? Has Lascelles fallen out with Steve Bruce? If it's anything to go by, they are just rumours. And Jamal Lascelles and Alan St. Maximum are suffering with long-term COVID, lethargy.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? I mean, there's a lot of interesting things flying around. There's no smoke without fire. Suddenly we find ASM's in France. He's saying that he loves Steve Bruce. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, there could be truth in it. I'm not stirring the pot here. I'm literally playing devil's advocate and asking you the question. Is this, is it genuine, do you think? They've come out and said something. It seemed very contrived and organised. That was my thought.
I think the interesting thing is, if you look at Alan St. Maximum's pictures online, he's with his mum, he's with his family. I mean, unless there is a support bubble for him, you wouldn't presume that he would be in contact with anyone apart from his wife and his children. So that raises rumours in itself. They were saying that he didn't come out and say anything because they can't reveal the medical history, it's confidential or something like that. But I thought to myself, like, if it was that much of a problem, I don't know why they wouldn't have released that information earlier to us. It all seems a little bit strange, if I'm being honest, with the only team that has COVID. Well, it seems like that. And as a Maximum's been out of the team for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I mean, COVID doesn't last that long. It only lasts for about a week or two. So it seems a strange decision. And even if he had COVID, why couldn't he stay here? Why is he flown back over to France? It's never a linear process with Newcastle. You never really know what's going on. You would hope for the sake of the team that it's nothing to do with Steve Bruce. But the way the football's being played, you can see why the players might have a particular issue with it. I know that's been raised in the past about the way Steve Bruce plays. And yeah, I don't really know. As I say, I would hope that there's not much to it. But yeah. I'm sure that Jamal Lascelles, if he could play, he would put his name forward. And the fact that we haven't heard from him, not from Newcastle, not from his Twitter handle or anything like that, is quite strange, really.
Yeah, it does. Look, I'm happy that we heard from ASM. I'm not particularly bothered what he had to say. I'm just glad that he seems to be okay and he still seems to be flying the Newcastle United flag. I'm also pleased that he's not laid up in bed with COVID. So, it's all positives on that front. But it's obviously unanswered questions will always lead to speculation, and that's all we've seen with this situation. And I agree. Shane's mentioned there about Jamal Lascelles. There's still concerns over him. There's certainly some players are struggling with this COVID virus, more than others, and that is a big worry, I suppose.
It is, and the worry is, like, how long are they actually going to be out for? How long is a piece of string here? I maybe it's just me. I like to try and see the best in people, so I'm going to believe the story. I know I heard what everyone was saying before he actually came out, but that's why I was calling for clarification as well, because he was so active on social media, and it's great that he did come out and make a statement. I think okay, they could ask him to say something, but I don't think he would. I think he's kind of his own man, really, ASM. And if they were asking him to say something, I'm not sure he would. So I'm going to believe the story. I think, yeah, you asked the question as well, and Bruce and bigging up the opponents. He does that every game. Okay, he'll have cause to do it in our next 3 league games against City, Liverpool, and Leicester. But it doesn't matter who we're playing. Bruce bigs them up and makes them feel better before they go onto the pitch to play us. So, but he couldn't do it to his own players and give us a helping hand.
Yeah. Pete, been an announcement this week, of course, about the Carabao Cup final. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun. We're only in the quarterfinals with a place for the semis up for grabs, but potentially putting that game back would give the opportunity, hopefully, for more fans to be able to go. So that's a positive, a bit of positive news, I suppose, for those who end up in the final. Depending on where we are at with COVID in this country.
Yeah, it can only be seen as a positive thing that they see that by that point in the season, that there's potentially more fans, or certainly fans are allowed back into the stadiums to a significant number. So it can only be a positive. We just need to do our bit now and make sure that we're in the position where we're there. Because look, there's no better fans out there than ours that would get behind their team and follow them in droves to support them at Wembley to potentially see us win a trophy. And that's what we want. Now, regardless of what people think about this cup, I don't care what cup it is. I don't care whether it's the Carabao, the FA Cup, the Premier League, whatever it is. I want Newcastle to win the trophy. Regardless of who the manager is and who's representing the football club, if we win the trophy, I'm happy. I'd be more than happy. I'd be ecstatic. I'd be buzzing. I'd be driving up to Newcastle and be celebrating on the streets. That's what I would be doing. That's my vision, and it's been my vision ever since I've been a kid. He's on the street celebrating a trophy win. Look, not every club gets to win a trophy in everybody's lifetimes, and I certainly want to be one of those in my lifetime where I want to be seeing Newcastle lift a trophy, no matter what it is, but a significant major trophy. And we need to make sure that we're behind the team and we're supporting the team, regardless of how we feel about the manager, regardless of how we feel about certain players, to ensure that we win every game that we play and that we give our best chances of winning something. And we're in a great position right now.
Chris, this is one of those competitions that has often been ignored. It would have to be said, by Newcastle in particular over the years. But it's a quarter-final game against a Brentford team which should be beatable, and the draw's been good to us. We know that if we get to the semi-finals, we're going to be taking on either Arsenal or Manchester City, which is it's a big hurdle to overcome. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? This is the best chance we've had in for a number of years, isn't it? Probably since the Ashley reign, at least. It's a really big opportunity for us, and Bruce always gets a lot of criticism and stuff, but I think, as one of the lads said earlier, you've got to give him credit in the sense that he's putting out the best team he possibly can, and he's going for the cup. Whether Ashley agrees with that or not, I know in the past people said that Ashley was telling Pardew and McLaren to put weaker sides out. Maybe Bruce has turned around and said no, or maybe they were just thinking about Premier League survival. But in terms of the teams that Bruce has been putting out, he's really gone for it and really tried his best with it. So in that sense, I can't knock him for that. But yeah, it's a massive opportunity today, and let's hope that we do progress. As I say, I was pessimistic, but now I've seen the lineup, I'm really pleased and really encouraged by it. But I just wanted to say as well, Steve, just on a couple of other points that were being brought up before, because I've already had my own little feelings about it anyway. In terms of, I've been interacting with some fans today, about Bruce and what this game means for him. And I'm under no illusion, there's absolutely no chance that Steve Bruce is going anywhere anytime soon. So even if we were to get beaten 8-0 tonight, wouldn't make a blind bit of difference, because at the end of the day, all Ashley's interested in is 17th and above. And certainly, while things are going on in the background, which we won't bring up, but we all know what we're talking about, he's not going to fork out money to get rid of Bruce, pay money out to get rid of him, and then try and bring somebody in of any kind of notable, quality. I can't see anybody taking the job, if I'm honest. Any credible manager wouldn't take the job. So I don't think there's any danger of that happening. And in terms of St. Maximin, I absolutely love St. Maximin. I think he's fantastic. And, I love the way he is on social media. I love, he reminds me of Ben Arthur, who's, my ultimate favourite player. Like, he gets bums off seats and, he's a really exciting lad and seems like a really nice lad as well. But do you know what? I hope, I hope there is a reason why he's not playing, and I hope that it is. I say hope it's COVID related. I hope there is a good reason that he's not playing. I hope he's well. I hope all his family are well. But that message that he put out to me, there's something wrong with it. He's basically saying there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. He said I'm not injured, no issues whatsoever. So to me, he's off for a reason. Now I hope that reason is because. There's something else going on in the background which he doesn't want to disclose, which is absolutely fine. And I hope that is the case, because honestly, if toys have been thrown out the pram and he's turned around and said, I'm not playing for the club anymore, I will fully, back Bruce in that sense, because, Bruce's tactics are terrible. I don't want him at the club any more than anybody else does. But, St. Maximin, since he's come in, the fans have given him 110%. We all absolutely adore him. He's been great with the food bank. He interacts with all the fans online. But at the end of the day, he gets paid the salary from the club, and his job is to play for the club and do a job for the fans. And if there's any kind of rumour that he's just, said, oh, no, I'm not interested, I'm not doing it anymore, then I'm literally done with him, because he's here to represent the club, and albeit if he's not happy or he doesn't appreciate Bruce's tactics, he needs to put his head down and get on with the job in hand. So I hope there is a reason why he's not playing, and fingers crossed, there is a good valid reason for it, and that's just what I want to say on that.
No, fair enough. Good points, well made, Chris. Excellent. Coming up towards kick-off, 5:30 kick-off tonight, so 5 minutes to go. Shane, looking for a prediction now, mate, from you for tonight's game. Are we going to get through?
Yeah, just one of the points. You said if we go through, we either come up against Arsenal or Manchester City. Is that right, or do we not go into a hat against anybody else?
I thought it was an open draw.
I can just see us ending up with Arsenal and Manchester City. I've been a Newcastle fan. I've been a Newcastle fan too long, lads. And don't believe 1 minute we're going to be on the other side of the draw. It'll be fixed.
Going back to your point about what the scoreline's going to be. I think if Brentford had their first team out, I think we would definitely struggle. I think we might nick a result, but I think Brentford would be the favourites. They've made 6 changes to their team. We've got our strongest starting 11 out. You would hope and you would think we are favourites now. You would hope we can get at least 1 or 2 now. I think Brentford, with their style of play, they probably will score. I'm confident that we should get through. But I don't want to say it just in case I jinx it. To be honest with you, I'm going for 2. Oh, I'm going for 2-1 Newcastle. Yeah, going 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay, good stuff. 2-1 Newcastle. Daz, are you as confident?
I'm confident. I'm always positive, Steve. Just on the draw, I hope if we do get through, that Robbie Savage or Chris Sutton aren't drawing the balls. Then I'd be claiming fixed as well. But the prediction, I'm going to go for 2-1, same as Shane actually. And regardless of the squad, Brentford squad being announced, I was going to say 2-1. But so I'm going to stick with it. 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay, good stuff, Pete. Your prediction for tonight's game in the Carabao Cup quarter-final between Newcastle and Brentford?
I'm going to go 3-1 to Newcastle. For some reason, I've just been confident going into today that I think that we'll get a result purely because Bruce needs it. Bruce needs it. Bruce cannot have a defeat in the quarterfinals against a championship team on his record. He's getting enough stick as it is at the moment from the fans, and there's enough pushback from the fans that he needs this victory, which is why I'm not surprised there's a strong squad out today. So I fully expect us to go on and perform and get the result.
Okay. And last but by no means least, Chris, as the teams take the pitch in that garish yellow strip, almost blending into the grass. Chris, your prediction for tonight's game?
If you'd asked me about an hour or so ago, I would have probably said 2-0 Brentford. But based on the lineup and all the positivity that you're all showing, I'm gonna say 1-1. And I think we will score in extra time and we'll go through.
Penalty straight away.
That was a penalty straight away. Oh, right, okay. Oh, well, in that case, I don't think we'll do it on pens. Okay, no, I'm going to say pens. I think we'll go through on pens.
Yeah, well, that's my prediction. I think this will go to penalties. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we're going to see Newcastle probably get out of the traps early, possibly taking an early lead. But you'll be arrogant to write Brentford off against this Newcastle team. That's my honest feeling about it. And although it's a strong team on paper, we've said that so many times under Steve Bruce, and we've been let down time and time again. By his tactics, probably not so much by the players, just by the tactics that Steve Bruce, gives the players the instructions he gives the players, leading to the games, and of course we've discussed it on this program many times. But what on earth Steve Bruce says to teams at half time, God only knows. And if we go in level or go in a goal down, God forbid, at half time, and Steve Bruce gives one of his team talks, it could all be over before we even get to penalties. So yeah, I've had a feeling it could go to penalties. I don't think we're going to make it easy on ourselves. Certainly not going to make it an easy watch. And it's, again, just one of those wonderful graphics that tend to flash up every now and then on Sky, and I tend to try, as most regular watchers of the show will know, as I try and grab them just so we can show them to discuss on the show, and managed to get another one here, which is, bear with us as I load it, but it's Newcastle's Premier League attacking stats per game this season. Ranked 17th in the Premier League, 9.2 shots. Ranked 16th for shots on target, 3.4. Ranked 19th for touches in the opposition box, 14.4. And ranked 17th for chances created, of which there's 7. I mean, pretty damning stats those, aren't they, Shane, when you look at them in the cold light of day, and go, put those alongside our possession stats, which, generally read 70% of the opposition and 30% to us, and that's been kind. Those stats are fairly damning.
Depends how you look at it. I mean, they were 20th, so we have moved up a couple of places since a couple of weeks ago. I know for shots and everything, we were 20th, so I guess that's an improvement somewhere. I don't know how you want to look at it, to be honest with you. So we are moving up the table. There's obviously worse teams that are having shots than us. I think against Fulham there was some telltale signs. The first half was just utter shite. I mean, I think Fulham had 67% possession in the first half. And that says it all, to be honest with you. Even though they had a man sent off, even though we had a penalty, which shouldn't have been a penalty, it shouldn't have been a red card, we came out the second half. But it's just not Fulham, it's every game. Against Leeds, we struggled. Against Crystal Palace, we struggled. Even the games where I've been on the show and we've got the 3 points, it hasn't been like we've been playing well. We've been playing very, very poorly, and we've still got the wins. You just think to yourself, when is this like for Steve Bruce going to run out? Because it has to at some point. I think Robbie Savage came out the weekend and he had a tweet up which was just a load of bullshit, saying why the Newcastle fans not happy? We're only 6 points off the Champions League place, but at the end of the weekend we're 8 points away from the Champions League place. We're 8 points away from relegation. And you look at the teams that are around us. West Brom, they've got Big Sam in. Will he spark a revival? He normally does. Fulham look like they're playing okay now. They got a result against Liverpool. They got some point. They got a point against us. Brighton not playing too badly really in the grand scheme of things. So you can see why the fans are worried. You can see why everyone's worried around Newcastle really. I think if we continue to play the defensive style of football that we're playing, it's only a matter of time before it all goes tits up, to be honest with you. Just like Chris was saying, even if Steve Bruce loses tonight, even if we get absolutely mullered by City and mullered against Liverpool, especially when they won 7-0 against Palace at the weekend, he isn't getting sacked. And even if he was sacked, there's no manager out there in the right mind that would take the role. I mean, Eddie Howe's been muted for it, but I can't see him taking it. So we've got to just accept that this is Newcastle United now. And it is what it is, unfortunately.
Godos has just gone close. We're about 3 minutes into the game here, and Godos has had time to take the ball past Sean Longstaff, who's ambling around on the edge of the 18-yard area, and Godos took his time, teed it up, and had a shot, and it flashed past Darlow's goal, and Brentford could have been 1-0 up there very, very easily. But I agree with what you're saying there, Shane. It's definitely. Go on then, Daz. What's your take?
Yeah, first of all, just on the game, there's not much grass on that pitch to play ball on. But the stats, 17th or below in a lot of those stats. We're down there. We're in the mix. The only place that we're looking that bit better is in the league table, and I suppose that's why the media, they're not obviously watching us closely game on game, and then they big up Bruce then because of that. But at the start of the season, my prediction was 17 plus for us, and that's the kind of area we are in, apart from the league table. But that will change as we coming up in the next 3 league games. But all those stats, they're not pretty to look at.
No, they're definitely not. Pete, those stats, they don't lie. Shane's looking on a positive. That they've improved. We were 20th, but now we're hedging up to 17th and 16th. But, as Sky's cameras pan on to Callum Wilson, on the TV screen, those stats probably make his efforts all the more, worthy of praise, because ultimately the guy is basically getting goals out of nothing.
You're absolutely right. And look, I'll be honest with you, and not a lot of people have talked about this. I genuinely worry for this summer, because he will score goals for us, no doubt. But with the amount of chances that have been created for him, there is no doubt in my mind that Premier League teams will be actively looking to sign him this summer. There is no doubt in my mind.
God.
And we need to ensure that we by the end of this season, that we've got a team that are producing more and consistent chances for him, because he's 28 years old. He could go anywhere else and play football. And without him, we would be rock bottom right now. I've got no doubts about it. We would be rock bottom in the Premier League right now without him in the team. He is the difference. So I'm genuinely worried about this season coming to an end and whether we're able to keep hold of him. Look, it's not been a great start at all, although Ryan Fraser's on the ball high up the pitch. The one thing I did say is that I did say that Longstaff had a better game against Fulham at the weekend, and his pass completion proved it. Statman Keefe came back and said it was 84%, where it was 47% in the Leeds game. However, in the first 4 minutes, 3 different players have ghosted past Sean Longstaff without a tackle being made. It looks like he's playing with cement on his boots. Honestly, I'm shocked. I know the pitch isn't great, but he looks really, really leggy, and it's only a few minutes in. And it just adds to what Chris said earlier, is that I wouldn't have played him. He's played a lot of football recently. When Bruce is talking about how, we've got players, that need a rest and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other, he's played more football than probably anyone else on that pitch, barring maybe Callum Wilson. He looks tired already. And if he's going to be like this at the beginning of the game, I fear for what he's going to be like on 40, 50, 60 minutes. So that was just an early observation of concern there. With Sean Longstaff. Hopefully he proves me wrong.
Yeah, okay. Chris, those stats, what was your take on them?
Yeah, it's not surprising, really. I think, like Shane said, which was a great comment. It's improved, hasn't it? It's better than what it was, but it's still not good enough. But then, am I surprised that that's where we are? Probably not, because I think our league position at the moment, we're obviously overachieving, and the media, have all been praising Bruce, saying that we are where we are, and Ali McCoyster's the latest one today that I've heard. Can't understand what Newcastle's problems are. Newcastle fans' problem is with it. With Bruce, and saying everything's fine and the position's great, but thankfully the likes of Max Rushton is hopefully getting on board with other more, I'd say more professional journalists, or more professional pundits, by actually watching football and commenting on football that they know a little bit about. Because most Newcastle fans, or the majority of Newcastle fans, will all tell you that the football that we play, we shouldn't be where we are in the league, and we shouldn't, because we've managed to pick up some results, and we've picked up a lot more points than what I thought we would have at this stage of the season, which is a blessing, because obviously we all want to stay up this season. But really, we shouldn't be where we are based on the football that we're playing, because we those stats do not lie. We are probably 17th, 16th best team in the league, and the only reason that I still believe we'll stay up this season is because there's some really poor Premier League teams in the league at the moment.
Yep, okay, we're coming into the 10th minute already, and Newcastle haven't quite woken up in this game. Brentford are all over Newcastle, it has to be said. Early exchanges in the game. The lads have already passed comment about the pitch. It's what happens though, Shane, when you play these teams at lower levels. They're not going to have the best of facilities. I've seen worse, mind. It's not quite the level of Hereford.
Kind of surprises me, because the Brentford stadiums knew they only started playing on it at the beginning of this season. I didn't know they shared it with a rugby club, but apparently that's the reason why it looks like a shithole. But I didn't know they shared it with anyone until the comments started coming up now. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an excuse. I mean, people can moan about the pitch, but it's the same for both for the teams. But in terms of the match, we've not created anything at all. There's been a couple of sloppy balls that haven't reached their man. You would say that the majority of the attempts have all been with Brentford. Again, that doesn't really surprise me too much. Only 10 minutes in though, so a long way left.
Okay, Daz, the pitch is, it seems to be a little bit waterlogged as well.
Yeah, it seems soggy. And we'll see. Would it? I suppose Brentford are used to playing on this pitch, but we'll see how our players adjust to it. And the game itself, Shelby is very, very deep and trying to hit long balls, the Hollywood style ball to the wings. Yeah, it's all Lewis making his way as well up the past his own halfway line. It's something I haven't seen for a while with Lewis. So maybe trying to get a bit further up in this game. So it's early days though yet. Yeah, Brentford had a few chances. They had a corner and they had a header and a shot. But we haven't had anything near goal yet. But it's very early. 10 minutes gone. As Wilson.
Oh!
Finish it. No.
A little push. There was a little push in the back there from the defender, I thought as well, but Wilson had a chance there. The ball dropped in the box, had a chance, hit the ball cleanly, straight at the goalkeeper. The rebound came back to him, and the defender gave him a little helpful push in the back. He didn't go down, and Brentford are clearing the lines. But first clear-cut chance for Newcastle there, Pete.
Yeah, and you know what? It came from absolutely nothing, because the ball up to him was shocking. It was an awful ball. It was, nothing on it, but he's made something from it, and actually he's made a fantastic chance on the back of it, and he's unlucky not to score. The angle was a little bit tight, but yeah, we're just seeing the same pattern of play from Newcastle at the moment, just playing it along the back. You get the wide men getting the ball in decent positions with time and space. But instead of looking forward for that next forward pass to move us up the pitch, we're going backwards again. And we're spending 2 or 3 minutes just playing it across the back and then just playing the hopeful ball up, which is then just bouncing straight back to us. There's just no there's no quality on the ball. There's no forward thinking. There's no no positive mentality about us. We're playing. Look, for all of Brentford's positives, and everybody's talked about how good Brentford are. They're in the Championship, and they're not flying away with the Championship. They're like top 4. They're fourth in the table. They've lost games. They've had poor performances. Their players, none of them, as far as I'm aware, have played in the Premier League. We're an established Premier League team with established Premier League players. There is no reason why we should have that mentality of going into the game and playing backward passes across the defence for 2 or 3 minutes and not even looking to play the ball forward with any conviction. It's the same thing every single time. There's no reason why we should have that mentality going into this game.
Yeah, Chris, good to see Newcastle finally getting an opportunity there. Fell to Wilson again. But yeah, still 0-0, 13 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I think going back to what Pete was saying then, where would we be without Callum Wilson? I mean, he's created a really good chance for us out of nothing. And, it's scary, isn't it? Because when you look around the pitch, I mean, I was just while the lads were talking, then I was just taking in a couple of minutes there, and I'm just so fed up of us being on the back foot all the time. We look like we're playing against Barca, and we're in the semi-final of a Champions League game, and we're being really cagey and we're dead careful. And you think, we're playing against an EFL side here who, like the lads have said, that they're not world beaters. Albeit we're away from home, but we should be dominant. We should be, on the front foot here, and they should be worried about us. And as per usual, we're worried about them. They are. Sean Longstaff's just been turned again. I don't know, Steve. I just find it so frustrating watching Newcastle at the moment, and it's really sad because I don't even know if it's Bruce. I'm starting to now think. I mean, he's lined them up, and albeit we're not tactically great, I know that. And I think most fans know that, but is some of this down to the players? Because if you were a John Joe Shelby or a Sean Longstaff in this team, homegrown lad Sean Longstaff, where's the passion? Where's the desire? Where's the screaming? Where's the shouting? Where's the someone kicking backsides? I mean, this is where I think you've said this before, Steve. This is where we need Matt Ritchie on the pitch, because we need somebody. We need someone screaming, going, "What are you doing?" Everything's really laboured, isn't it? And really, that didn't come off. Never mind. Let's get back in our flat back 4 with the 4 midfield in front, and Almiron can mix it just past the centre half circle, and Wilson can just stand up front and hopefully something goes to him. Because that is basically our tactic, isn't it? That's what we do. So yeah, not great, is it?
No, it's not. 15 minutes gone. Brentford 0, Newcastle 0 in the Carabao Cup quarter final. And as I say, Brentford have started the better, it has to be said. Lots of people in the chat saying, well, already disappointed Newcastle seem to be on the back foot and defending. No surprise there. If you watch Newcastle on a regular basis, you should be used to this. And already we're seeing John Joe Shelby sitting on the back 4 and having to do some defensive work and win headers, etc. But the starting lineup, if you've missed it already, here we go. We started with Darlow, Yedlin, Hayden, Clark, Lewis, Shelby, Longstaff, Murphy, Fraser, Almiron and Wilson. Quite a good attacking starting lineup. However, you wouldn't think it the way they've started. On the bench, we've got Gillespie, Carroll, Joe Linton, Ritchie, Gale, Hendrick and Kraft. So quite a strong bench. Plenty of opportunities to change the game if we see fit. And the Brentford team, Daniels, Fosu, Pinnock, Sorensen, Thompson, Janelt, De Silva, Emiliano, Godos, Canos and Fours. Ivan Toney is lurking on the bench there, though, ready to come on and potentially do his old team some damage. So, 16 minutes gone. Shane, how do you think it's gone so far, mate?
I was going to say, one of the telling things and one of the upsetting things for me, I've not been looking forward to this game ever since it was announced, really. And I should be excited. I've supported Newcastle my entire life. We're through to the quarterfinals of a domestic cup. But I just wasn't getting excited. I was thinking about it earlier today when I was at home, and it wasn't. And it didn't excite me. I wasn't looking forward to it, and I think that's what Newcastle United has become really now. It's a club that we follow because we have to, and it's so sad. I mean, if I could go back in time and support someone else, would I? Because nothing about this club right now resembles anything like a football team. The football shit, the coaching shit, the attacking football's non-existent. We can't keep hold of the ball. It's the same stuff every single season. Are we going to stay up? It's just hard work, Steve. And we're 20 minutes into a game against a championship team who have got 6 of their first team players out at the moment, and they've got a chance again now. We haven't really created much, and it's just so hard supporting this team week in, week out. It's fucking depressing, to be honest with you, man. I'm sick of it. It's just such hard work. It really is.
Yeah, okay. Not very positive there. Daz, can you give us any positivity on this so far?
Yeah, I'm just wondering who is standing in front of Shane with a gun to him to make him watch this game. Yeah, look, but I do hear what you're saying, Shane. Yeah. I'm a Newcastle fan. I'll always be a Newcastle fan. That's not going to change. But I'd have a hard job trying to convince someone else to be a Newcastle fan, and that's why I'm thinking of my son. Even though he has his first Newcastle jersey at 3 years old, I dread the day he come home from school later in life and tells me he supports another club. How could I stop him with the way we're playing these days? You couldn't. You couldn't. Convince someone to stick with Newcastle, but if he comes home and tells me he supports Man United, he can move out then. But yeah, it's poor, but we live in hope that one day we'll have our T word, and we have something better to dream for. But yeah, going on season like this, and our luck will run out. And we will get relegated, and we won't be as lucky to have a Chris Hughton or a Rafa to bring us back again, and we'll be stuck in the championship. So that's why it has to happen sooner or later, and we can have something to dream for then. I don't think I answered your question, Steve, but I've rambled on anyway.
No, it sounded more positive than Shane, though. We see we've got a bit of yin and yang with you two sitting together. Pete, 20 minutes in. What do you think of the show? What do you think of the show so far? Oh!
I was about to say I think it's great. But, yeah, that was unlucky. The ball from Longstaff should have gone into Almiron.
To the middle.
He'd made the angle for the ball and was calling for it, and he was in one-on-one if he'd have played that ball. We hope. Oh no, I thought we might see it in the replay. However, a great ball in from Ryan Fraser, just a little touch on the defender by the defender that's took it off Callum Wilson's toes, and that's what we want. You know, look, we've barely switched gears, and yet we've created a chance just because we've just upped it by 2%, and that's the difference. We've got players that can be the match winners, that can be the difference, and we're just not showing it for a consistent period of time. We've done it twice, and we've created 2 chances on the back of it. Callum Wilson's got the beating of both of those centre-backs today. They don't know what to do with it. They do not know what to do with him. He's holding the ball up and making it difficult fantastically well. We just need to make sure that Almiron's in and around him. But going back to the sort of, you know, the positivity and the negativity about Newcastle at the moment, it's difficult. Look, we're all loyal to the club. It's why we do what we do. It's why we watch every game. We are loyal, and we will always continue to be loyal to Newcastle, the club and the players, and we want them to do well. But look, you can't deny it's hard watching. It is very, very hard. It's hard watching. It just is. And you know, if we weren't Newcastle fans and we had the choice of whether we'd watch this or another game, we probably wouldn't watch our team play. and that's just the reality, because it's just not entertaining. And I'm not talking about, the hitting teams for 5 or 6 goals. What we're talking about is a team that are willing to kind of go out there and attack and make things difficult. And Brentford have just hit the bar. We haven't got a team that really want to go out there and actually want to attack and want to try and score goals and want to, really put the emphasis on pushing the other team backwards. We've got a team that just wants to sit there and just play around with the ball and hope for a draw and maybe nick a goal. And that's just, that's not what fans want to see. And it's not just like we've been seeing this for a few games. We've been seeing this for a long time now. A long time. You can even go back to Rafa in certain games where we played a similar style. But at least he was under some restrictions on the type of players that he wanted to bring in. We've brought the players that we wanted to bring in today. And Bruce was the one, and it wasn't us. Bruce that was the one that said he was going to play attacking football this season. And we just haven't seen it. And there's a frustration there completely. We cannot dream, because we've got the likes of Steve Bruce, who's not a well-drilled manager for all of his experience. We cannot dream because we've got an owner that doesn't want to put money into the club. So we're stuck in limbo at the moment. We don't know whether we're coming or going, and that's I think the biggest frustration with the fans at the moment.
Yeah, Chris, would you agree with what Pete said there?
Pretty much, yeah. I've got 2 positives for you, Steve. So the first one is that we've got 54% possession.
Wow,
which is an absolute shock.
Wow, that is good.
So we're ahead on the possession, and the second positive is that it's still 0-0, because really that should have been 1-0. You probably saw me shaking my head when that was going on, and it goes back to exactly what I was saying just before. I don't know if any of you picked up on it, but did you see when the Brentford player ran down the wing and went across the ball? Did any of you notice Shelby just casually strolling to try and block the challenge?
Yeah,
just not interested. I just when you've got I mentioned this in a tweet earlier on today. When you've got, people are saying, "Oh, do we need a new right back? Do we need cover for left back? Do we need a new backup striker for Callum Wilson?" We need all of those things, but the first thing we need, without a shadow of a doubt for me, is a centre midfielder who can attack, defend, and actually pass the ball forward. Because at the moment, we're so laboured, and we're so slow in possession, and we really need some work doing. And I'm going back to one of the points that the lad said about Steve Bruce wanting to play attacking football, and he needed time, and he wanted to bring his own players in. I'm just looking at the lineup now, and okay, a lot of these players aren't his signings, but there's no change from what we saw when he first came in. If anything. Oh my God!
They look like now.
2 free headers.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. Honestly, I would love any pundit to come out and just say, "Listen, watch this game, and just tell me that what we're saying is wrong." Because I don't think any fan at home now watching this is enjoying it. Not one fan.
You know what, Chris? This is the thing. This is the thing that I don't think a lot of fans understand. All of these pundits that come out and say the things that they do, they know how Newcastle play. They know how bad they are. They just don't care. You look at these pundits. You look at the likes of Chris Sutton. His associations are with Celtic. You look at Robbie Savage. His associations are with Man United and Derby and Leicester. You look at Danny Mills. His associations with Liverpool. You got all of these pundits that don't actually care about Newcastle, so they can say what they want. They can say what they want, and they don't care because it's not a club that they support or a club that they follow, and that's the key. So they can say what they want, but they know Newcastle are an easy touch. They're easy money to them, and it's easy audiences because all they do is say one little thing about Newcastle, and they'll get 100 calls on their shows, just like that. Just in an instant. And that's all it is. And it's been like that for years. But Newcastle fans continue to ring into these shows, continue to ring into these radio shows and these programs and reply on Twitter. And what it is, all they're doing is just playing into these hands, the hands of Robbie Savage and the likes of Chris Sutton and the likes of Danny Mills and the likes of Danny Murphy and all the rest of them, because that's what they want. With the Newcastle fans going mad, it gives them exposure and then it gets them another job somewhere else. Or it gets them another gig, or it gets them another radio show. That's all it is. That's all it is. They know deep down that Steve Bruce is not good enough. They know deep down that Newcastle, right, are playing horrific football at the moment. And they know deep down that at the moment, Newcastle need this takeover. Otherwise, we're going to go down, whether it's this season or next season. They know this. They play on it because they know that we'll respond as a fan base.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Pete. Can I ask you one question, though, just out of interest? And this is just an extra, just based on what you were saying then. What are your thoughts on Andy Cole and Les Ferdinand? Because I read the other day that they, you know, like other pundits, is that just purely down to the fact that they're not watching Newcastle anymore? Because some of their comments, they just backing Bruce. I mean, I know Andy Cole's going to back Bruce because of the Man United link. I get that.
And that's it. With Andy Cole, his allegiances are with Man United. That's where he had his most success from. And he does have that level of respect for Newcastle now, but he didn't because of the stick that he got after he left. He did like Newcastle, and he was all for Man United. And he will always be seen as a Man United great and not a Newcastle great. And that's just the reality. So when Andy Cole makes his comment, look, I love Andy Cole. He was the reason when I first turned on the TV to watch Newcastle play the first time when we beat Leicester 7-1 and he scored that hat-trick. He was the reason what made me want to support Newcastle, because I thought, who's this guy? Who is this team? I loved watching them play. First time I'd ever really watched football with any intent, and I was hooked. And that was the reason. But ultimately, I'm not stupid, and I realised that his associations and his affiliations are with Man United. So when he talks about Newcastle, he's not really a pundit. He doesn't really watch us anymore, and that's just the reality. Les Ferdinand, Les Ferdinand is Les Ferdinand. He was a great player for us, but ultimately, his associations are with Tottenham. His association with Tottenham, that was his boyhood club. He went back there to play against his will at the time. But, he's still in the back of his mind knows that Newcastle didn't want him at that point in time when Dalglish wanted him to go. Shearer got injured. They begged for him to stay, but he didn't feel wanted at that point and left. And with all these players, for how great they were and how much we laud and respect them, they've always got this in the back of their mind. So they're 100% affiliations that are not with Newcastle. You look at Warren Barton. His affiliation is with Newcastle. He loves the club. Lee Clark loves the club. Rob Lee loves the club. Philip Albert loves the club. You can go through so many other players. Why do you think none of the pundits or none of the big shows, the talk sports, the Skies, why do you think they never go to those guys? Because they know that those guys will talk nothing but positive about Newcastle United, right? And they don't go to them because they'll go to a Kieran Dyer. They'll go to a Graham Souness. They'll go to, a Sean Ramiobi. They'll go to those guys that are either Ashley supporters or guys that don't really have, regardless of their career at Newcastle, don't really have an affiliation to the club. And they will quite easily talk negatively about Newcastle. You watch the takeover. Once a takeover happens, you watch all of these guys come out the woodwork. You watch all of these guys start plugging in the likes of Rob Lee and Lee Clark and all the positive ones about Newcastle. You watch them try and pull Alan Shearer off BBC and try and get him onto Sky. You watch it because you know if this takeover goes through and the PIF put the serious money that they've talked about into this club and we start going up the table, you watch all these guys start getting pulled out for Sky duties, for BT Sport duties, and all the rest of it. You watch it happen. But it's played very systematically, and they're very, very smart in who they pick and why they pick them. And as Newcastle fans, we need to be smarter and not allow these people to get the better of us because we're an easy touch. They say one thing about us, and we all jump on them. And it's exactly what they want.
Yeah, Darlow comes out and heads the ball there, I think, away from the oncoming Brentford attackers as a corner amounts to nothing for Brentford. 32 minutes on the clock, and it is Brentford 0, Newcastle 0. No, Darlow actually came out with his hand, looked like it on the original camera angle, but it was a Fosu attempt, and yeah, still 0-0. So my prophecy of a tight game is definitely seems to be coming to fruition so far in the first half. Tim says the pitch looks like a Sunday morning pitch. I played on better pitches than that, mate. I've got to be honest. And Barry says, watch the documentary. Amazing job. Well done. Thank you, Barry. The documentary, Think Before You Tweet, is available on the channel now. It's had a lot of positive feedback. Very pleased to say that a lot of people enjoyed it. So please watch it. Please share it. Get the message out there. Think before you tweet. And just want to say, as always, a big thank you to our sponsors, newworkwear.com, specialists in the supply and branding of clothing for the workplace. They have sponsored the StreamYard application last month and this month. And a big shout out to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Newcastle, Wallsend and other things, as well as our t-shirts, newcastlelegends.com. You can buy the t-shirts there, the NUFC Matters t-shirts, or you can purchase the t-shirts of Supermac or the mugs of Supermac as well. And if you're a first-time visitor to the channel like Rhonda is, who I've just seen in the chat, please like the video, please comment underneath on the video, and please share the video. But don't forget, click that little emblem, Newcastle Legends emblem in the bottom corner, and if you just click on that, you will actually be able to subscribe to the channel, which does us the world of good. A lot of people asking what's coming up in the next few days. I am going to do a special tomorrow with Lee Clark and Steve Howie tomorrow afternoon. Those two guys will be joining me tomorrow afternoon just to talk about the season so far. As you know, most of you who've watched me since the Instagram days will know we've had a lot of them on the show in the early days. Well, they're going to join up tomorrow and have a chat tomorrow, so that should be interesting. That's going to be at 1 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, we are going to do the retro show, looking back between Newcastle United and fixtures with Leeds. Wednesday, we're going to be on air at 6 o'clock for 1 hour. It's a Three Amigos Christmas special, and we're going to have guests on from all the shows just popping in just to tell us what they're up to for Christmas and anything they want to say about Newcastle United. And we do have a special video which we'll be previewing on Christmas Eve, just something we've done for a little bit of fun to wish you all a Merry Christmas. So something to look forward to there. Dr. Rockter says, such a poor performance as usual. David Calladine says, lucky to be still in this. It could be 3-0 already. Ben just talking about the stuff that Chris and Peter have been talking about. He says, very true comments. Look at Jake Humphrey the weekend when he criticised following Savage's tweet. Amazing how both got took down very quickly. I mean, Shane, this is true. There is a little bit of conspiracy, amongst some of these media channels, Shane, that, some of these pundits do team up against us. And when we have games where maybe they should have a Newcastle ex-player and let's say a Manchester United ex-player, they tend to get two ex-Newcastle managers on who didn't do very well. So, it is bizarre, but Peter is right. They do this, especially on the radio channels, maybe it's like TalkSport, for instance. They get provocative characters on because what they need is they need clicks. They need they need clicks. They need people to click on the channel. They need to share it. And Newcastle fans do that all the time. As we just have a shot on goal again from Fraser, stung the goalkeeper's hands, hit it first time on the bounce, and it's a corner at Newcastle. But yeah, Shane, Pete's right, isn't he? Chris is right about this pundit situation.
I would say that rant that Pete had for the last 10 minutes was fucking quality. I loved every minute of it. It was so powerful. And the thing is, if you rang up TalkSport and you said the same thing, they would cut you off in about 30 seconds. As soon as you start talking sense, it's like, nah, I don't even want to hear it. And that's the sad thing. You get Jake Humphreys, who gets it. You get who was the other guy that came out? Max Rushton. He had an interview earlier. These are people. These are true football fans. I know that Jake Humphrey supports Norwich, who's a true football fan. You've got Max Rushton, who supports Cambridge, a true football fan, and they get it. But no one wants to hear it. No one really even cares. And there was Garth Crooks that came out earlier today, and in his team of the week, he put Matip in his team of the team of the week against Tottenham, and he didn't even start. So you've got to think: are the people that are commentating and the pundits that are meant to be watching our games, are they really watching them? Because if you really had to put yourself through as a Newcastle fan, watching the first 12 games of this season and the Carling Cup games, and you came out with it thinking Steve Bruce is actually doing a good job, you're fucking deluded. Because it's not. It's been absolutely draining to watch this football club. And it's so sad to see that in the media, as you say, Steve, they bring out all these ex-pros like Kieran Dyer, who just talks a load of shite. Graham Souness, again, who was a failed manager at Newcastle. Ruud Gullit, to some extent, a failed manager at Newcastle. And who are they to give an insight into what the real Newcastle fans are thinking? Because it doesn't make sense.
The thing that made me laugh for years is that every time Newcastle played on Sky, we had Niall Quinn commentating on the game. Niall Quinn that was actually associated to Sunderland and was their owner at the time, and it just made you laugh. And whenever Newcastle would play, he would be the one commentating. How would they even match that up? It made no sense whatsoever. But it was just typical Sky and how they would go about things.
You're absolutely right. And last year they had Scholler on there, and I know that he was the director of loan support. What even the fuck is that? And they had him on there talking about how Mike Ashley's doing great and how Newcastle's doing amazingly well. Just like, man, as soon as Scholler came out and said that, my respect for him went down the drain. I thought, you absolute twat. How dare you come out there and say that sort of stuff? You bellend. But man, that's just Newcastle, isn't it? You can move on now. I'm going to cry.
That's what these matches have turned into, like a group therapy session. It has to be perfect. It has to be perfectly honest. That's what they're like. And I mean, I know that people watching do enjoy it as well because there's honest, frank opinions, which of course you can't give on major radio stations. 39 minutes gone, coming up to the 40th minute mark, 5 minutes before half time, Daz. And I mean, it's still 0-0, and we're hanging on by the skin of our teeth. We have had opportunities, and the percentage might be slightly better, but we are playing a team which is considerably lower than us, so it should be. But I presume you must have a point to make on what Pete's been saying and the lads have been saying.
Yeah. Let me see on that. Yeah, first of all, on Pete, I think Sky after takeover, Sky is going to come looking for you, Pete. Never mind Alan Shearer. I put out a tweet there the other day. Jake Humphreys, sports presenter of the year 2020. Yeah, I love what he says. Like he sticks up for Newcastle fans. He's the only one I've seen it say something. And because of that, I actually have a soft spot for Norwich, and he seems to have the same kind of passion. If he wasn't a Norwich fan, I think he'd be a Newcastle fan. But then, and if I was to pick someone else to throw under the bus while we were talking about it, I'd pick Rio Ferdinand and what he said to me before. He really pissed me off that day. But and I think his comments about Mike Ashley and everything like that. But just. Don't really have too much more to say actually on the media. I think Pete had probably covered it all. But there's the Steve Bruce is the media darling, and they won't have anything said about him. We want a team that tries, and they're happy to see us just about survive. And what are we complaining about? So that's really it. And for me on the media side, Steve.
Yeah, okay. And what about the game so far as we approach the 41st minute now?
Yeah, the game, Brentford should be ahead, if not two. We've had a few chances as well. They weren't really clear cut. Brentford are definitely ahead in the game. I don't know. He'll have to change something at half time, but he won't. He'll leave it to well into the game. I'd be worried if Brentford will be watching this and going, okay, we can take this. Let's bring on Tony. Let's bring on Wimbo and go for it and really punish Newcastle. So I'd like to see us get something before that happens. So, but yeah, Brentford ahead so far.
Yep, okay. Brentford are dominating this game, it has to be said, Pete. Nothing really changed here, and the scoreline though remains the same, 0-0.
Yeah, it's just the same old Newcastle. Just surrender possession, let the other team have the ball and have all the sort of dominate the attacking areas of the pitch, and we're just kind of holding out. It seems, and it's just the same old Newcastle. It doesn't matter what team. It could be a League One team we're playing against right now. It'd be exactly the same. And that's just the reality that it is. So it's just so disappointing to see. We've had a couple of chances. We should have scored them, possibly. But they've had more chances than us and should have scored more than one. So, I would say a 0-0 is about, is something that we should be grateful for going into half-time, if I'm honest.
Okay, Chris, as we're coming into the half-time period, give us your analysis of the game so far.
Yeah, it's not going to be much different than what everyone said, really. So sorry if I sound like a broken record, but no, we unfortunately, as Pete's just rightly said, we could be playing anybody right now, and it'd be exactly the same. We're very fortunate. We're still, drawing. I think if we concede first, we're out, in my opinion, because I just don't see. I know we've had a couple of chances. Don't get me wrong, but again, if we go behind, I think the pressure cranks up. I think the heads go down, because the heads are barely up as it is. I mean, the only
Too far.
Oh, too far wide.
Is it?
Oh, God. Wilson got past the back four again, got pushed wide by the centre-half, to be fair. Good play by the centre-half. Fraser managed to get the ball back, but it came to nothing. The ball's out for a throw-in, which Lewis is taken. So, yeah, go on, mate. Continue.
Yeah, so the two liveliest players, Wilson and Fraser, funnily enough, they're the two bright sparks. And do you know what? I found myself before, and I don't know whether anyone else feels like this. I say this most weeks, but I find myself, especially in cup games, where we've been playing lower opposition, I feel like if we'd score, I'd almost be annoyed at myself for celebrating, because we should be winning. We should be winning, and we should be outclassing Brentford. When this tie was drawn, my first reaction was great, Brentford. But then I thought, well, we could be playing Scarborough, and we'd still be struggling. No offense to Scarborough, by the way, but we'd still be struggling, and we'd still be, on the back foot. And I don't know. I just feel really despondent. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see us win. I want to see us go through. Obviously, I do, but because you never know what's going to happen, do you? But I hope things improve second half. Do I think it's going to change? Probably not. But we just need. I don't know what we need. We need Matt Ritchie. That's what we need. We need Matt Ritchie on the pitch. I'd like to see Matt Ritchie come on. Maybe change the shape. I don't know. Even just experiment something. If you experiment something and it went wrong, at least I think, well, he's tried and done something. Because at the moment, we just do the same old thing, and it's all just the same regurgitated poor tactics all the time.
Well, half-time is Newcastle United and Brentford leave the pitch. It's 0-0, and the best part about that half, Shane, was that there was no added time.
To be honest with you, I feel sorry for my missus, really. I've been with her for 4.5 years, and she's watched every single Newcastle match with me. I'm surprised she hasn't left me, to be honest with you. She's fucking hanging on in there. I don't know how. There was no additional time, which I'm thankful about. We're going to have another Steve Bruce inspirational half-time team talk, which is going to be amazing. I think Jamal Lewis has to come off. He's been suspect again. Richie is the only motivator in that team. Richie has to come on. When he'll come on, it'll probably be too late. Probably be the 75th minute, which by then is too late anyway. Highlights: we've got in and around the defence a couple of occasions. Wilson could have probably scored if I'm being optimistic, but as Chris was saying, we could be playing Brentford or Scarborough. It wouldn't make a difference. And even if we got through tonight, there's no excitement. I mean, who's in the cup left? We could play Stoke. I mean, and that's a big if. If Stoke beat Tottenham and we get Stoke, maybe we can reach the final. Maybe. But who else is in there? You've got Tottenham, you've got Man City, you've got Arsenal.
Yeah, that's who we're playing. Arsenal or Man City. I'm telling you now, it's a done deal.
And if and if Arsenal can miraculously get through tonight, we have them in the FA Cup. And the way they're playing, there's a slim chance we might do them. But am I confident? No. So even if we get through tonight, we've got to go through to the semi-finals and then the final. Oh, man. You just got to laugh, haven't you? But, yeah, that's it. I'm not being very fun tonight, have I?
No, you are, mate. Everyone's playing their part, mate. It's a collaborative effort, and I think you've all got your opinions across very well. Daz 0-0 half time. It's a tight game, and Bruce, as we know, is not somebody who likes to change it quickly. He's got plenty of options on the bench. Obviously, just refresh your memory as to who's actually on there tonight. How are we going to change it tonight? Do you think, to make it better, or how do you think Bruce should change it? He's got Gillespie there. He's got Carroll, Joe Linton, Richie, Gale, Hendrick, Kraft. I mean, looking at the attacking options, Gale is in form, and we've all made a valid case about Richie, I think, because of his work rate and his effort. But is that going to be the route he goes down, do you think?
Well, first of all, Steve, it is Panto season, so I'm going to be the exact opposite than what Shane said. For me, I think Lewis is having a great game. He's over past the halfway line. He's chasing back as well, but he's trying to make something down that wing. So I actually think Lewis is playing really well. The best game I've seen him play for Newcastle. What I'd do to change it, I'd take off Miggy and bring on Gale and go for two out and out strikers to try and do something here. I'd also take off Longstaff and bring on I don't know if could Richie play in the centre. I'd give it a go, or if not Richie, then maybe Hendrick. But I think that the conditions, the pitch, and it's raining as well. It's kind of there's a bit of hesitancy in that shot from that one from Wilson. I think he would have gone sooner if the ground underneath him was a bit more solid to work off. But yeah, that's the two changes I'd make. I'd be taking off Miggy and I'd take off Longstaff, and that's where I go for now. And then if we're coming towards the end of the game and we're still at 0-0, then I maybe throw on the likes of Carroll or something like, maybe even Joe Linton, just to try and go for it, because it is a cup game after all. It's do or die here. So yeah, that's the changes I'd make. And so I'll just reiterate, as Shane is back, I'm the exact opposite to what Shane is saying.
Martin says you must have been drinking all day, Daz, because he says Lewis has been murdered for 45 minutes. Have you been on the Guinness?
No, I haven't been. But John from QTech was asking a question to Martin earlier. Was he walking up and down with the QTech sandwich board?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
We have to give a shout out to QTech.
Good stuff, Pete. What's your take on this? This second half. How are we going to change it to at least give us a chance of getting through?
Well, it's been an awful half. It's flown by, and it's flown by because not because of the quality of the game, but because of the chat with the boys on air. That's been the most entertaining part, is talking to you guys. But yeah, the game hasn't been great. We should be losing. We're not, so we take that as a positive. For me, I think Daz is right with regards to getting Gale on the pitch. I don't think not quite yet. Maybe at 60 minutes we'll get Gale on and really try and go for it, depending on the result, obviously. It's difficult. It's difficult Richie does have to come on. Murphy is giving us an outlet with his pace down that side, but he's not giving us any quality. So maybe playing Richie on that right-hand side and getting him sort of really driving us forward, not just with his ability or his quality, but just with his presence. So making that change. If I'm honest, Longstaff or Shelvey, neither of them have played well. Shelvey's played a couple of decent balls, so you maybe put him slightly ahead of Longstaff, but you've got an argument or a case to sub both of them. But then you've got Hendricks coming on, so you kind of like, it's a lose-lose situation, if I'm honest. So, I would say Richie, for sure, is the immediate change. But certainly looking at Gale as the second sub, sort of as the game goes on, depending on how it unfolds in the early part of the second half. But look, if we continue in this vein, let's not mistake anything. This is falling into Brentford's hands. This is why they have Tony and a couple of other their boys on the bench that they could have started. It's because they were hoping that come 50, 60 minutes, the game's still tied or they're still in with a chance of winning, and they bring these guys on that are fresh and hungry, that are likely to win them the game. So the longer it goes on as a 0-0, the better it is for them. And all they're going to need, I'm not sure who said it, someone said it about 10 minutes ago, all they're going to need is one goal, because one goal will be enough to win them the game tonight.
Okay, Chris, I find it hard to disagree with Pete tonight. I would agree. I always felt this was going to be a tight game, as did you. Both of us shouted penalties tonight. I still think it could go to that, I have to be honest. But it's very, very tight. And, if you want to get through, then, you just need one goal to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's absolutely spot on. What Pete was saying there. I think I'm just looking at the lineup now. I'm a bit undecided, really. I mean, ideally, and I don't want it to sound like Championship Manager, where you just stick people in random positions, but genuinely, this is what I'd do. I'd probably drop Miggy into the centre of the pitch, because with Miggy, I know he's not the most physical of players, but you always get 110% effort out of him. So I'd probably swap Miggy for Shelvey. I'd take Shelvey off for Gale. So I'd put Gale up top with Wilson. And in the middle, I'd take Shelvey and Longstaff off. And I'd have Miggy and Richie in the middle. Because you know what? At least with Miggy, you've got 110% effort. You've got exactly the same for Richie. And Richie will get himself stuck in and he'll have a go. People who say, oh, Richie hasn't got the legs and stuff like that. He probably hasn't to be a winger, but he always gives 110%. And if he actually gets stuck in and starts throwing some challenges in and actually showing a bit of bite and a bit of, commitment and, rallies the team, I'm all for that. Because with Longstaff and Shelvey in the middle, we're just pedestrian. We really are. We just look like we're just sitting back waiting for the goal. I mean, like I say, I still stick with my prediction. I think it's going to go to penalties. If we score first, we might hang on in there, because I do think Brentford will score. If Brentford score first, I think we're out. Sorry, guys, but I think we're out, because I just don't see. I don't see where the goal will come from, because I think the heads will go down, and I think it'll just be game over. I could even see it being 2-0. I'd say if Brentford score first, I'll go 2-0. But I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I could also actually see him possibly bringing Cavill on, because I know we haven't seen Andy Cavill for a while. He's probably itching to get on the pitch. And as negative as this sounds, he might actually help us, with the crosses coming into the area. At least he can help defensively. Yeah. So it may be a good idea to bring Cavill on.
Yep. Yano says, we are missing Joe on set pieces against us. God, I never thought I'd hear the day people would start saying that. Murphy's done nothing. Longstaff or crafted defence and move Hayden into midfield. Martin says, Joe Linton winner, statue in order. Dean Henry says, we should be hammering these teams. Paul Oxley says, if anyone actually thinks this team will beat one of the big boys, they need their heads checking. And Stephen says, I don't know what fascination is with these Longstaff brothers. One plays and the game passes him by and offers nothing. Where's Matty Longstaff? Grounded or what? He never plays. And Paul also says, every time I see he plays better football than Newcastle, it's down to the manager. James Dean says, we need to think tactically. If it goes to a penalty shootout, we should bring on Joe Linton if there's a chance of penalties. So lots of positivity for Joe Linton. And I suppose I can ask that question now then, Shane. Andy Carroll's warming up, but if you're going to put a big lad on and go for something a bit different, big lad, small lad up front, who are you going to bring on? Joe Linton or Andy Carroll? A man who hasn't scored for since he returned to the club, or somebody who we know has struggled to adapt to the British game, but has at least scored a few goals and is a younger, fitter prospect.
Yeah, all I was saying on Andy Carroll, the last time he played was against Newport, and he did fuck all then. So I don't know how he's going to change the game now. Newport are in League One, and he started, and he was just useless. He was absolutely useless. He's one of those signings where we talked about him time and time again on this show. It was nice for him to come back, but it was so unnecessary. We didn't need him. He's just useless. I know the West Brom are after him now. I don't know why, because they're shit anyway, so they're going to be useless with him in their squad. But
tell us what you really think, Shane.
But yeah, I wouldn't put Andy Carroll on. I don't know what he adds. And I think the problem is when you have Andy Carroll on, you know what kind of football there's going to be played. It's Route 1. And we are the thing is, though, are we better than that? You'd like to think we're better than that, but maybe we're not. Maybe that's what we need. I think Joe Linton, over the last couple of games, he has played better. I mean, in terms of his youth and in terms of him playing on the wing, I think he can probably offer more than Carroll. I think Carroll is the sort of player you put on in a last-ditch attempt to get a goal in the 90th minute. I wouldn't put him on now. I think it's pretty desperate, to say the least.
Yeah. Okay. Joe Linton or Andy Carroll, does?
Yeah, I'd go with Joe Linton. I know I said Carl a few minutes ago, but that was if it was going to be only going to be a few minutes left. But my subs would be Gale, Richie, and Joe Linton. For Miggy, Longstaff, and Murphy. That's where I'd go. But yeah, just actually one of the things that we talked about earlier, I meant to say that it's probably no point in talking about if we play in the next round. But usually the bigger teams rest some of their players, so they'd probably still beat us, of course. But they'd put out a weakened team than they would play in the Premier League. So that's something to have hope for if we got that far. But we're a long way from that yet.
We're joined by Annika Rice. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great, mates. Thanks. How's it going? Not
Good,
so well for Newcastle, I guess.
Have you managed to avoid the first half, mate? You'll have done yourself a favour if you have.
Yes, I have, thankfully.
Well, very good, mate. Very good. Well, it's still 0-0. That's all you really need to know, I suppose. And we've still got a chance of getting to the semi-finals. But it hasn't been a feast of football. We're talking about changes. Been no substitutions yet. On the bench, Chris, we do have.
Can you put that at 5? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we do have Carroll, Joe Linton, Richie, Gale, Hendrick, or Kraft on the bench. We're talking at the moment about up front. How would you change it up front? And Andy Carroll's been seen to be warming up, as has Matt Ritchie. Would you bring Andy Carroll on, or would you bring Joe Linton on to change this game?
Yeah, no, I don't see any world beaters on the bench, but I just have this feeling that Andy Carroll has something in him this year, and whether it's in the cups or the league, and maybe tonight's the night. So I'd throw him on there.
It's Christmas after all.
Okay, yeah, well, that's it. It's a time for giving and not receiving, and receiving, isn't it? So let's see what happens. No changes at half time, I don't think. Just double checking as the players take the pitch again. Newcastle out first, waiting for the Brentford players to come out. Wilson, very animated, talking a lot, saying a lot as the camera focuses on Ivan Toney on the bench, waiting to come on and potentially dash Newcastle's cup hopes. Pete, Andy Carroll or Joe Linton?
Can I say neither?
Yep, you can. Chris, Andy Carroll or Joe Linton?
Andy Carroll every day.
Mate, I'm well, you probably remember me saying this last time. I'm a bit of a romantic when it comes to Carroll. I still feel like he's got something. I really do. I know not everyone agrees with that, and I understand why people are saying that. But I just think I don't think he's completely done yet, and I feel like he's got something there. And you know what? Again, going back to what we were saying before, a bit of endeavour, a bit of fight, a bit of something. Like I don't think anyone could knock him for that. I think if we brought Andy Cavill and Matt Ritchie on the pitch, I think we'd see a bit more fight in the team. Is Andy Cavill what he was of old? No, but I think he might add something to this game, and certainly defensively, that's what I'm thinking. I would certainly on the 60, 65 minute be thinking about Andy Carroll personally. I'm not knocking Joe, but let's give Andy Carroll a chance. He's been out for a while now. He's chomping at the bit. He's been on the bench for a while. That's what I'd do.
Okay, we kicked off the second half. Newcastle United in their yellow strip down at Brentford in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, 0-0, and Isaac Hayden pumps the ball upfield, in with a potential chance here straight away as Shelby takes it past one midfielder, plays a cross-field ball out. We'll stay with this as Newcastle press, need a good ball in.
This is literally the best we've looked all game. This little
play.
Caballero.
That was a nice build-up play. The ball did reach Callum Wilson, who headed the ball up and over the bar. But yeah, good start. Brighter start, Shane. Brighter start from Newcastle there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think someone was saying that's the best day we've played all game. In terms of a move, I guess if you can call it a move, then that probably was the best move of the entire game. Coming out the blocks very, very fast, which is good to see. Brentford have got the possession now, so I don't know what's going to happen with this. It can't be any more mundane than the first half, really. I think we have got to open it up a little bit the second half, as Chris was saying. I think if Brentford score first, they're going to go on to score two. So it's really important that we get the first goal here.
Okay, Daz, bit of a brighter start from Newcastle. It has to be said. Let's hope they can keep this up.
Yeah. Let's hope. There's only about 2 minutes nearly gone now, but so too early to make a call on that yet. But yeah, let's hope they keep it up and. As Brentford go on the attack, and they're going to about to cross it in now, and it looks like we have it under control. It's gone out for a throw. So yeah, let's hope for something better this half. Something to as Pete mentioned, the half went quick because of the chat, but if you're just watching the game without the chat, I'd say it would have gone very slow.
Yeah, I would agree. I suppose one of the positives, and it was in the chat earlier on about Kieran Clark and Hayden looking comfortable again at the back.
Yeah, they look solid. I do like to see Hayden in that kind of defensive midfield role as well. But yeah, he can do a job there. And Clark is always solid. It's rare enough you see Clark having a bad game. So yeah, and obviously Fernandez must still feeling the effects of COVID. So yeah, we're happy with Hayden in there beside Clark.
Yeah, we do look a bit more comfortable in the back four, Chris, which is a positive. And obviously Jamal Lascelles, being confirmed with long COVID. Yedlin back in there as well. Yedlin looks as if he hasn't been away, albeit against Brentford, it has to be said. But yeah, we're keeping it tight at the back, which is good.
Yeah, this is a bit of a cup lineup versus a league lineup for the back four, but this is a side that we should hold pretty well. They do have their solid attacking players, but a championship side we should be have the advantage against. We've talked about how in the last match about how would you exploit Newcastle if you were the opposing manager, and we talked about them being weak up the middle, and so that's something I look forward to seeing how tight they are and how much of a shape they can have both on the offense and defense.
David Little says, Sean Longstaff, seriously, how can you be a central midfielder at any level and not know how to tackle? A lot of people getting frustrated with Sean Longstaff over the last few games. Pete, trying to accentuate some positive on the podcast, and that's really that that Kieran Clark and Hayden do look as if they're forming a decent partnership in there, and they're going to need to with Jamal Lascelles out for a bit longer than we thought he was going to be.
Definitely, that's definitely been the bright part of this team at the moment. You look at Darlow and Wilson as your obvious ones at opposite ends of the pitch, but as a partnership, they've done really well now. Look, Hayden's played there before. Hayden's played at centre back. I think he even played under Bruce at centre back at Hull on loan. So he knows how to play that role. So he's been a very, very important alternative that's been able to come in. But with his pace, with his intelligence, with his movement, he's able to really sort of dictate that role and make it his own. And what it does, it gives license for, Clark to just be the one to win the balls in the air and to just distribute it out from the left-hand side. So it's definitely been a positive. We don't look like we're going to concede from the middle of the pitch. It only really looks like it's going to come from the wide areas. And that says a lot about them, really. So definitely a positive within that. I just wish one or two others would obviously step up, but there's still time.
Yeah, Chris, it's a positive in there that those two are playing well at the back. We just need to get things sorted. And
go on,
Steve.
Murphy,
We're in.
Oh,
dear me, out.
Horrible effort. You got to take it earlier.
Murphy did all the good work there. He made the run. He outpaced the defender and just seemed to seem a little bit startled. Maybe he's had too many options instead of crossing the ball across, and he more or less stubbed it with the outside of his right boot and out of play. Close attention of the defender, it has to be said, but another chance, another opportunity wasted, unfortunately. But point I was going to make, Chris, was Stephen Lowe saying that Shelby's like Marmite amongst the fans. He's the only one who can pick a pass out and feed Callum Wilson, so he needs to play just behind him, not sitting in front of the back four. My experience of Shelby's always been that he starts off in the middle. You get the impression under Rafa he was told to start off in the middle, but he used to drift back. It's part of his game, and if you watched him at Liverpool, Swansea, I don't think that anyone ever tells him to do that. He does it, and you can always say he's going to have a bad game when he starts sitting virtually on top of the back four. I think I even mentioned it at the start of this match. Within 5 minutes of this game starting, Shelby was more or less on the front of the back four, and if he pushes on and does what he can do best, and that is ping those balls through, we're becoming more of an attacking team.
Yeah, no, definitely, Steve. I think he's been described in the past, hasn't he, as like an old-fashioned quarterback. I think that's what he likes to do. He likes to, he does like the Hollywood ball, doesn't he? Let's be honest. He likes the 40, 50-yard ball, the Gerrard comparisons, and that's what he's capable of. He's got that in his locker. And I think that's probably what we're missing in terms of an actual midfield. So, like I was saying before, if we had a defensive midfielder, someone who could, a bit like a Tiote, someone who could just sit in front of the back four, do all the dirty work, but who's got legs. And then they would be saying to someone like Shelby, come on, push up. Stop getting next to me. Push up. We need you further up. We need you to, dictate the play in the middle of the park. And I think quite often he will drift back, and then say the likes of Longstaff or Hayden or whoever's next to him will kind of either go with him because Shelby's saying, come back, give me a hand, or they'll just stay in the middle, and they haven't got the ability of Shelby. So going back to what you were saying before, Steve, about Hayden and Clark, and sorry, I sound like a broken record, I keep saying this, but again, earlier on Twitter today, I was having a conversation with somebody and I said to them, isn't it sad as a fan base, we've gone to the point where everyone's like, we need Hayden in the middle. We need Hayden in the middle, as in, in the centre of midfield. Now, I'm not Hayden's biggest fan in terms of the centre of midfield because, albeit I know he puts a lot of effort in, he gets stuck in, and I really like him for that. But since he's gone into this centre-back role, I think he's much better there because I think to me, he looks more of a centre-back. I think in midfield, he lacks something. He's not particularly great at tracking back. He's not particularly great going forward. But he will put a tackle in. But since he's moved to centre-back, I've really liked him, and he looks solid. He's a big lad, and you can tell that he, as Pete said earlier, you can tell that he has played there before. And I do feel like the centre-back role is more suited to Hayden. So I'm more than happy for Hayden to be in that centre-back role, and maybe even as the backup centre-back, if and when we do ever improve the team. I certainly don't see his future in midfield. I just don't think he offers enough defensively or going forward for me. I think he's too limited as a footballer. But as a centre-back, he looks really, really strong. I've got no complaints with him. I'd actually rather have Hayden at centre-back than Lascelles. I think he looks more of a player at centre-back than Lascelles, our captain. So, in terms of what you said there about Shelvey, and I've heard a few fans as well saying, we need Shelvey in the middle of the park, and we do. When Shelvey's on form, he makes us tick. And sadly, we don't see that often enough. But maybe if we had that partner next to him who allows him to, have that freedom in his game, or at least tell him where he needs to go and what he needs to do, that would be a big plus. But I just feel sometimes like he just plays in third gear too much for me, Shelvey. And you get the odd little stroke of genius where he pings that ball or makes something happen, but we don't see it often enough.
A lot of people criticising Shelvey, Longstaff in particular, saying they're slow, they're sluggish, they're pedestrian. Yeah. So lots of people agreeing with you, Chris, and me too. Mike Jen says, evening lads, 3 games running our so-called midfield have been bypassed, poor coaching and technically inept. Bruce out. And don't be too disappointed if we get beat. Bruce might get the chop, says Kenneth Stark. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. Shelvey sees himself as the new Pirlo. He dropped deeper at the end of his career. And Dr. Rocker said if Bruce had the brains of Budgie Poo, his cage would be empty. Interesting analogy. Swag Dog says Super Mac made the point a couple of months ago that Shelvey doesn't help Longstaff when he plays with him and actually hinders him. Craig Bell just simply says Longstaff is robbing a living. And Funko says, I can't believe how we're going back to mentioning Tiote when we should be trying to get them to be more like Lee in speed. The more we compare to the likes of Tiote, the more we're settling for 13th-ish. Neil Mitchell's made this point, though, about this. It's almost like we're used to mediocrity these days, Funko, and that is the problem. I think we all begin to accept mediocrity, and that's because that's what we're being used to for the last 12, 13 years, and unfortunately that's the case. 56 minutes in, Shane, are there any green shoots of recovery here? Are we looking the more likely to score?
No.
Thanks, Shane. Daz?
Yes, is my answer, Steve.
Shane. I mean, Shane, you must have an opinion. Sorry, Daz. Shane.
No, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit more. There's a bit more of an attacking side to Newcastle in this half, mate. There are some shoots of attempts that they are pushing, but it's still evenly balanced. It could still go either way this game.
Yeah, but you say there's attempts, but this is what you'd expect against a championship team. I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary, really. I mean, just because we're having shots and just because we're getting more possession, if you want to call it that, isn't something to really get too excited about. I mean, we should be dominating them here as the Premiership team. It's difficult to find pluses. I mean, for the first 30 seconds of the half, we did play well, but there's been sloppy passes that have gone adrift. I mean, as soon as we were talking about Shelvey, he put one of the balls out of play. And it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere, to be honest with you. I do think in terms of the partnership at the back, Hayden playing alongside Clark, I think it's a change made out of necessity rather than something that Steve Bruce would want. I think Hayden complements Shelvey quite well. How Sean Longstaff is in the team after the game against Leeds, I don't have a clue. I mean, he was probably at fault for 4 of the goals. I mean, against Fulham, I know some of the people have said the stats in his passing accuracy was in like the high 80s, but he doesn't really do much with the ball. And I think we talked about him quite a lot on this show as well. What's happened with him, and he had that game at the back end of last season against Bournemouth, I believe, when he came off at half time, and he hasn't really shown anything since then, to be honest with you. And if we're allowing players with the form and the standard of Sean Longstaff to get in the team week in, week out, what competition is there? Because it doesn't look like much.
No, Gale is coming on. Looks like Dwight Gale is coming on for Newcastle. I'm not sure who he's going to take off.
Steve, I want to respond to that.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, not to compare managers, but I do believe that Steve Bruce kind of plays his favorites. He's definitely got some favorites in the team, like Shelby and probably Longstaff, and he's just going to throw them out there, like no matter what, what kind of shape he's looking for, what kind of tactics, what kind of lineup. It's almost like he sort of throws them out there and like not builds a team around them, but it's just kind of being like, I don't care what the downsides are of these players. I like them. Maybe they show effort a lot in practice, and he's just going to put them out there, kind of come what may. That probably shows why Steve Bruce has probably a career losing record or low percentage of wins versus losses. But it just seems like something that other managers that we've had would not do, and would just consistently play the players that are performing for him. And if you don't perform, you don't play. But seems like Steve Bruce kind of gives brownie points for people that he likes.
Yeah, I think this comes to what I was saying before, Daz, in the past about Steve Bruce being a man manager and not a coach. He does definitely do that, I think. I mean, he bigs certain players up and he knocks certain players down. And, I'm just laughing here because he's had Dwight Gale standing there for about 3 or 4 minutes now. And the ball has been out of play. Is he waiting until the clock's gone to an hour just to keep up his proud record of making substitutes on the hour? Is there something going on? But yeah, it is strange.
Yeah, I think Gale is looking for his jacket again because it's getting cold. But yeah, Bruce has his favourites. Was that the question? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He has his favourites, but the man management aspect. Sorry, that was the question as well. Yeah. So yeah, we were saying before, if he lose, we know he doesn't really have the tactical nous, but if he loses the dressing room, as we were saying, that he could potentially have done already. But if that happens, what does he offer? That's the question we posed as well there recently. But he has his favourites. He sticks with them. I could see him actually getting lucky here. And the other question you had was about how we're performing as Brentford have a corner. But we seem to have improved on the first half, showing as Gale puts his jumper on again. So he's not
going back in the stand. He's going back in the stand. What is he doing?
No idea. Maybe because he wouldn't put on his jumper if they're just going to wait for this corner. I don't know what he's at here, Bruce. Okay, we'll wait for this to come in and see what happens.
Barry Hogan says Bruce is telling Gale to ask the lads if they want garlic dip.
Okay, the corner was over a hit, but still in Newcastle half, and it's got no shot from Brentford, blocked. Another corner for Brentford.
Under pressure here, lads. We're under pressure. Yes, look, Pete, what on earth is going on there? Steve Bruce has Dwight Gale standing. You have to go through the warm-up. It's clearly a cold night. He's standing on the sidelines. The ball goes out of play. He doesn't bring him on. So, I mean, was there somebody injured there? Was there somebody carrying a knock? And that's why he was bringing them on, and he's now said he's okay, and Bruce has told him to run it off. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
You would like to hope that would be the reason. That would be the logical reason. But when has Bruce ever been logical in the way in which he moved things around? I have no idea what that situation was. But look, in terms of our performance, we're coasting right now. That's exactly what we're doing. We're just coasting through this game and hoping something falls, which is the classic Bruce sort of tactic, really. And the longer we coast, you see the likes of Ivan Toney now getting stripped and ready to come on. The longer we coast, the more it is likely that they're going to nick a goal. And like I said, if they take the first goal, if they get the first goal, that is game over. I don't see us getting back into the game because we've barely created a clear-cut chance in the whole sort of 64 minutes that we've had so far, and with our strongest team. So that tells you everything you need to know really about this whole performance and situation. But we are coasting, and we shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to. With the team that we've got right now, out there, we should be dominating this game, and we're not. And that's a massive, massive concern. You see a lot of fans out there that are saying, if we lose tonight, he needs to go. He needs to go. Look, if we lose this game tonight with the team that we've got out there right now, and the team with the players that are coming off the bench, okay, regardless of whether he goes or not, there needs to be at top serious questions being asked about whether he is the man to take us forward, and what our vision is for the second half of the season, because we cannot go another season like this and pick up the amount of points that we've had playing the way that we've played. The luck will run out at some point, and we could find ourselves quite quickly in a relegation battle.
Right, the substitutions are made. Almiron's off, Fraser's off, Pete, and Joe Linton and Dwight Gale are on. Positive substitutions there?
No, because you've sort of taken away on natural pace and width, and you've replaced it with two players that don't offer that, and that's what we need right now. Why they've took. I mean, I understand from a certain point of view why Almiron's come off, because he's been playing more central. There we go.
All day.
Out of nothing.
Seen a couple
Out of absolutely nothing. Out of our poor defenders.
I'm done, Steve. I don't think I can sit and do the 90 minutes there. I'm done.
I've got to be perfectly honest, mate. I used to watch Why Don't You when I was a kid, and the song was Why Don't You Go and Find Something Less Boring to Do Instead. And that's definitely how I think everybody feels after watching that. Brentford just go up the other end after substitutions are made. Really good finish just inside the box from, I'm not sure who scored the goal. Anybody know?
Don't really care.
But this is the whole point of it, saying that we're coasting. We've been coasting throughout this whole game. We've been coasting throughout this whole second half. We're expecting something to fall in our laps, and it hasn't. And that's the whole point. You cannot just continue to coast in a game and expect something to fall. At some point, they're going to get a clear-cut chance, and they've taken it. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Serious questions need to be asked, right, from the top end of this club about Steve Bruce, about taking us forward. He cannot come into this game and give us any excuses afterwards if we lose this game about why we've lost it. He's got a first team out there, a first team that would start Premier League matches, and we've not put an absolute patch on this team. We've not put a patch on them. There are no excuses here. No excuses whatsoever. This sits on Steve Bruce and Steve Bruce only.
Yeah, I mean, he did tell us how dangerous Brentford were before the game, Chris.
He did it with everything.
It is absolutely. I was going to say just before, I take it I didn't miss anything because I saw the score was 0-0, but I couldn't have imagined that I've missed much. But I didn't see the replay properly, or maybe the camera angle didn't show it. But I noticed that De Silva scored, and I'm pretty sure that he's come in from deep. I'm just going to check that, because if he has, again, our two deep lying midfielders have chosen not to pick up the man, because that's all it's done. He's cut to the far wing, cut it back, and their runner, De Silva, I'm just going to check now. Yeah, there you go. He's a central midfielder, and he's come from deep, and he's just put the ball in the back of the net. No one's anywhere near him. So Shelvey and Longstaff, obviously, have not picked anybody up. But I'm not. I don't know why I'm so surprised. Like I say, I shouldn't have laughed when Sean commented there, but it just made me laugh when he said he was done, because I think that's how we're all feeling. It's now how many are Brentford going to score? Because we've took Almiron off. I can understand why, but again, I wouldn't have taken him off, because Almiron is one of those players who will constantly do your running for you. He gives his all, to be fair to him, albeit you don't always get the output from him, but he gives his all. So we've took Almiron off up front for Gale. Let's hope they can actually get the ball to Gale, and then we've taken off Fraser on the left, and we've replaced him with a very immobile Joe Linton. So that's basically the wing play over, because Murphy's not renowned for his pace, is he? I'm not saying he's slow, but he's not a tricky, fast winger, and Joe's certainly not that either. So we've got no threat coming in from the wings. We've got Wilson and Wilson and Gale up front, and our two midfielders, but they are actually holding midfielders. How are we going to get the ball up to them other than lumping it? And both under 6 foot.
Ivan Toney's on the pitch. Most goals in England's top 4 tiers in all competitions. Ivan Toney leads a list of esteemed names such as Jamie Vardy and Raheem Sterling. He's on now, Shane, and that's all we really needed after going 1-0 down to Brentford. Seeing him come on the pitch.
I think if it was hard for us before, it's even harder now. I'm just really upset, to be honest with you. I knew it was coming, and it's come. We've took Al Moronov, who's one of the only players who gives his all week in, week out. We've lost the width. Jamal Lewis is still on there, and I don't know how he's still on there. Richie, I would have brought on Richie at half time, to be honest with you. I just can't see where the next goal is coming from, and I'm just really upset, man. It's just the same thing season after season. It's not the fact that we're shit. It's just the hope that kills you. It's just knowing that we might get through to a semi-final. There's a chance there, and every single time Newcastle let you down, it's just like taxes, really. You know they're coming. You don't want it to happen, but yeah, it happens.
Yep, it's a shambles. There's no doubt about that. Newcastle 1-0 down. Positivity is that there's 20 minutes left on the clock for Newcastle to at least try and get back into this and potentially take the game to penalties. But as you can tell by the panel, there isn't a great deal of hope. Daz, who is the eternal optimist, we always turn to him for a little bit of positivity. Daz, over to you, mate.
Yeah, we're looking for a bit of a Christmas miracle here now as well. But our Bruce's luck is in some way. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. But if we did get that goal, like I would fancy us in the penalties with Darlow on goal. But we have to get that far yet. We have to start getting shots on goal and getting the ball in the box. So 20 minutes of fun ahead.
Yep, John Joe Shelby booked. He will miss the next game in the Carabao Cup, which will probably be next season. Chris, 20 minutes to go and counting, Chris here. And at this moment we are crashing out to Brentford.
Yeah, this has a bit of. Hopefully, this has a bit of a look of what was the cup game that we played last season where we went down late 1-0 to a lower league side and then came back and won in penalties. But
this one,
Oxford, maybe.
Yeah, but it's asking a lot. I don't know where the goal is coming from. I mean, you say we could fancy ourselves in the penalties with Darlow, but we have to get to penalties with holding them, and now with Tony on, who knows that we can hold them, and then finding a goal from this non-productive lineup. I mean, the substitutions look, talk about substitutions paying dividends. They paid negative dividends like straight away. I mean, I've never seen. We had a shape. I've never seen a new shape collapse that fast. I mean, it was pretty much bang on right after the substitution that Brentford scored. So, I usually Daz gets all the optimism headlines, but I'm usually the optimist person too. But it's hard in this match to see where anything positive is coming from.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Pete, time is ticking away, and our feelings about this game are starting to come to bear, and it wasn't good looking at Ivan Toney coming on, to be honest. You just get a feeling that if there's anybody going to score in the remaining part of this game, it's probably going to be Brentford again.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I was talking just as the goal went in, and I said we were coasting. It was coming. It didn't look obvious, but you knew it was coming because we were just coasting. We were just seeing ourselves through the game, and it was being allowed to happen. The manager was allowing it to happen, allowing us to coast through the game, and that's why I say that it's the buck stops with Bruce. Bruce is responsible for this. Okay, he's got a team of players that are first team Premier League players. Okay, there are no excuses right now for this level of performance tonight. And I said if they get the first goal, they'll win the game, and I don't see anything different. I don't see us scoring tonight. We've had half chances, but I don't see us creating anything else. And the only way I would see us creating something is the likes of Ryan Fraser being on the pitch, and he's off the pitch now. Why they're saving him for Man City, I have no idea. Because look, that's a game that we're not expected to win. This means more to us tonight than Man City does on Boxing Day. It's as simple as that. So play your best team. Play your best team in the 90 minutes. I don't care if they play them with fringe players against Man City. We're expected to get beat anyway. Anything other than that is a bonus. So yeah, it's a shame. Like I said, I don't see us getting a goal. If we do, great, but I don't see it personally. And yeah, it's another disappointing end to a cup run.
Chris, is there any way back, mate?
No, I don't think so. Sadly, I think we called it right, Steve, didn't we? Saying, you know, if we go 1-0 behind, I know a few of the lads said it, then it's a long way back. I just don't see where the goal will come from. I mean, don't forget, Bruce is our manager, so you never know. He has been extremely lucky this season already, so you never know. We might scrape, we might scrape an equaliser. I just wanted to add as well, as it was a comment made by Funko before, about Tiote. I tell you what, Tiote would crawl into this team. I know people have said he's mediocre, but he would absolutely crawl into this team because, we're just so lacking in midfield. It's unbelievable. I mean, obviously, I'd never compare him to the likes of Rob Lee, Gary Speed, etc. But he's well better than what we've currently got. And I don't really know what to say, to be honest. This doesn't come as a surprise. I'm not seeing or witnessing anything, that I wasn't expecting. I'm just now hopeful, that we can get a lucky equaliser, but I just don't see it. I think the subs Bruce has made have been poor, too predictable, and let's see what the last 14 minutes bring. But I'm not very hopeful.
Darlow keeping Newcastle in the game there with a save. Newcastle have gone up the other end, and we do have a corner. So let's stay with this and see whether Newcastle can pull a rabbit out of the proverbial Carabao Cup hat and get themselves back into this game and take the game to penalties. Our corner taken hasn't been very good tonight, but we whipped that one in. It does fall onto a Newcastle head, but it's cleared off the line by the defender. Goalkeeper had it covered as well, and it's the ball is back on the halfway line, and Newcastle have to build again from the back. Shane entering the last 15 minutes of the game now, and doesn't look like we're going to have any more changes unless they're enforced. And Bruce has rolled his dice. We've got Joe Linton and Gale on, but we've now just kicked the ball out of play. I mean, that just sums it up, doesn't it? The ball just kicked towards kicked towards the touchline, and our player just lets it go out, and no desperation. Andy Carroll's coming on, just as I've said. It looks as if we're all done. We're now bringing Andy Carroll on. So what's your take on that?
It just gets bad to worse, doesn't it, really? I guess the only positives I would say is in the last 10 minutes, I think Newcastle scored the most goals in the Premier League. I think it's either one or the other. Joe Linton's just shanked one. No, was that Murphy? He's just shanked one after the corner
Murphy,
flag.
yeah.
Probably ended up in my fucking back garden, to be honest with you. It's a fucking wank. But yeah, not much has changed. We are pushing up a little bit, which is to be expected. To be honest with you, Cole Dollar just kept us in the game with a great save. I think it should be 2-0. The worrying thing is, like any 1-0 scoreline going into the last 10 minutes, the more we push up, the more Brentford can do us on the counter attack. There is that stat that we do score a lot of goals in the last 10 minutes, but not much has changed. We don't really look like scoring. I want to be as optimistic as I can. I want to say that we might get a goal, but it just doesn't look like it. With Andy Carroll, you know things are going pretty tits up when you're bringing and Andy Carroll on. You've got Joe Linton on, Wilson, Gell, and Carroll. So I mean, you could say he's going for it, but I wonder what the tactics were before this match, because it doesn't look like there's been anything. To be honest with you, it just looks utter shite. Yeah, with 10 minutes to go, can't really see us scoring. If there's going to be another goal, it's going to come from Brentford. Yeah, so on to Man City on Saturday, which is going to probably be about 7-0. So happy days.
Yeah, lots to look forward to over the festive season as Andy Carroll comes on, and let's just see who is coming off. Lewis is coming off for Andy Carroll, so Steve Bruce really going for it. Daz, it's up.
Yeah.
Look, he's put 3 attacking players on. That's what he should do in this circumstance. Are we going to get caught with a sucker punch like we did against Leeds, or are we going to manage to claw our way back into this game?
Well, if we do, we do. It doesn't matter. It's a knockout competition. We have to go for it. Throw everything at it now. It's going to be route one, long ball into Carroll, maybe a knockdown, and we have with the poaching in Gale and Wilson in there as well. And if it's coming to the last 5 minutes and we're getting up there, getting a corner or something, I want to see Darlow up there as well to try something. So yeah, look, we have to get the ball up there into the pitch first as the long throw comes in for Brentford, and Tony has a crack at it, and look, he was blocked. But it's going to be all heading towards the Brentford goal. You'd hope in the last 10 minutes with long balls.
Yep. Okay. Chris here, it's you were lucky, mate, in a lot of respects. You didn't see the first half. The second half has been probably just as bad, I've got to be perfectly honest. So you didn't get away with it, mate. You didn't get away with it.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is like throwing spaghetti against the wall tactics, but at this rate, we couldn't even hit the wall with the spaghetti. We've missed the wall. So, you'd like the other lads have said, you'd like to see an attacking formation, an attacking shape against a lower league side like Brentford. But, so far Brentford has looked the higher league side, and we've been thoroughly outclassed, and it's like we just didn't get off the bus. So, Bruce his luck will continue, and he'll scrape this one out, but I just don't think they're deserving at this point of even getting an equalizer. I mean, I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it's in the cards.
Can we play with 10 men? Seriously, can we play with 10 men? Get Murphy off. He's dreadful. He's been absolutely dreadful tonight. I'd rather play with 10 men. The guy just giving the ball away. His shooting ability. Jesus Christ. Oh.
Not happy with him, but I mean, to be honest, it's not just him. There's again a lot of players out there just not putting the effort in. Pete, there's the one person who's going to have an easy job tonight is the woman who does the laundry, or the man who does the laundry. There can't be any sweat to wash off some of these strips.
No, but look, I mean, we've got 4 strikers on the pitch, but no midfielders. I mean, like you cut your nose off to spite your face. It's madness. I mean, there's no balance to this team whatsoever. I mean, he can say that he's going for it because he's got 4 strikers up there. What's the point of having 4 strikers when you've got no one to supply the bullets for them to score? You've got no one with any sort of quality. That's why you needed the likes of Fraser on. Fraser needs 90 minutes. He needs 90 minutes. This is a perfect opportunity for him to get 90 minutes under his belt. Right, and he would have still been grafting, still been working. I thought Fraser played well tonight. I thought he was giving us something going forward. I said at half time, Murphy for his pace, he's got good pace, he's direct, great, but his productivity on the board is not good enough. And that's where I said at half time, someone like Richie coming on and using that. Yeah, he might not have Murphy's pace, but he's got the quality of delivery, and he's got that understanding on the ball, and he's got the drive to get us forward as a leader on the pitch. This is what we're lacking right now. You can have all the experienced players as you want. You can have Andy Carroll at 31. You can have Kieran Clark, who I like, but they're not leaders. They're not leaders on the pitch. We're lacking leaders. You can say what you want about Lascelles, and I don't rate him either at the moment. He's not playing well, but he's a leader. He gets players playing better. Matt Ritchie, you can say what you want about Matt Ritchie. He gets players playing better. And for that is what we needed right now. We needed that guidance and that leadership to get us through this game. And that's what's seriously lacking across this team. If you haven't got the likes of St. Maximin, that's got that little bit of special, that little bit of magic, that little moment that can win you a game. If you haven't got that, you need leaders. We've got neither tonight.
Yeah, I would agree. 100%. There's no leaders on that pitch whatsoever. I would also say, Chris Hall, that there's no leader really on the sidelines. Just as Sky cameras pan onto Brentford's manager again, he's animated. He's out of his technical area. He's given instructions. But every time you look at Steve Bruce, and this isn't just tonight, it's time and time again, he just stands clueless. I think I've mentioned this on NUFC Matters before, where sometimes I'm sitting in the stand in the Milburn stand, and looking down to the dugout, looking to see what Bruce is actually doing with Steve Agnew, and a lot of the time there's nothing, there's no instruction, there's no urgency, and fair enough, he might not be that kind of manager, but players need instruction. They need to be guided, especially when things are going wrong like this.
Yeah. You know what, Steve, I'm glad you've just said that, because when the lads were talking, then obviously I was listening, but I was just watching Thomas Frank, and for the past, don't get me wrong, not just since they've gone 1-0 up, but throughout the whole match, he's calm, he's composed, and you can tell his players are well drilled. And since they've gone 1-0 up, he's been very animated on the sideline. He's giving instructions, he's shouting things out, he's telling players to calm down, he's tweaking things here and there. Bruce just looks like a rabbit in headlights. He just looks like, oh God, we're losing. What shall I do? What shall I do? That is persona, and but that's not a new thing, is it? That happens all the time. And that's what he's been criticised for. It's very rare that you see Steve Bruce looking calm, and the only time you tend to see it really is when we've comfortably won a game, and he almost looks a little bit smug, which annoys me, as if my game plan or my tactics have worked today, because we all know there's not much tactics wise there at all. And as Pete's just rightly said, you bring all these players on, and there's no methodology behind it, or I'll try this or I'll try that. He's just throwing players on, hoping that something will happen. I mean, they are. You've just zoomed in onto him. He looks petrified. Like he knows, I'm going to have to speak to these cameras in 10, 15 minutes. What am I going to say? Because there's no excuse. What's he going to say? Oh, so, we didn't turn up tonight. Oh, it didn't quite go. We're a work in progress. All that rubbish that we keep hearing every single week. And it's the same rubbish all the time. I want to hear him calling people out, saying, I've done this, I've done that, and they haven't done what I wanted, and they haven't done this. Maybe it's time he should start calling some players out, and he should start saying, listen, I'm telling them to do this, and they're not doing it. Because how he's not changed any of them two central midfielders tonight is just beyond me. I mean, anybody can see that our weakness or our problem this evening has been in central midfield. Longstaff's not at it tonight, and he hasn't been for a long time. And Shelvey is just strolling through the game casually, doing what he wants. I tell you what, the Brentford midfield have had an absolute ball tonight, because they've not had to break a sweat. They've just got. I feel like Brentford have just gone through the motions. I don't even think this is Brentford at their best. I think they've just turned up. They've dropped how many players was the change? 5 or 6. This looks like we're the Championship side. And Brentford are a top Premier League club who've rested some players. We're playing against a weakened Championship side, and we're being totally outdone all over the pitch. I mean, how are we going to pick them out of the match, by the way? Who are we going to pick?
I think we'll just finish early.
Yeah. There's no man of the match. I mean, the only thing I could possibly say right now is, Darlow made a couple of good saves to keep us in it. But that's all I say every week. Darlow, because I can't blame Darlow, because he hasn't done anything. I mean, the goal he had no chance with. Hayden's had a pretty solid game, but other than that, Yedlin, Lewis, no. Clark's been pretty good, actually. Oh, God.
Joe Linton.
He was a decent run there.
Joe Linton, it was a decent run. He cut inside, and then hit the ball across the box. It was a cross-come shot. I'm not sure he knew quite what he was doing, to be perfectly honest. But he did power his way past 2 defenders and then hit it with the outside of his boot and damaged the corner flag. And that's the most animated I've seen Steve Bruce, it has to be said. More or less getting ready to celebrate until he realised who'd hit the ball. So, yeah, Shane, we're coming into the last couple of minutes, mate. It's it's sad to say this is it. Bruce's lucky clover. I don't think it's going to get us here unless we're really, really lucky. I can't see us getting an equaliser here.
No, to be honest with you, Steve, it's been a really, really shit week. I went into Tier 4 on Saturday, went down to Marks and Spencer's earlier today. You couldn't get any pigs in blankets. And now this. Yeah. So it's been really shit, to be honest with you, man. I don't know. The pigs in blankets killed me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. That actually really hurt. I think I might come up on here and say, if Newcastle were a championship team, where would we be? And I think it's a good question because I don't think we'd be in the top 6. I think we'd be mid-table, and that's at best. This is a really, really poor team. And if you look at Steve Bruce as a manager, who out of the Premiership teams, if he got sacked, would even want him? You'd have to go down the Championship list to find somebody. And that's where we're at. I mean, we are a Championship club with a Championship manager playing Championship football. And that's it. It's just pathetic. And I'm sick of it. And I'm tired. And you know what? The sad thing is, I'll turn up on Saturday. I'll do the show. I'll watch it against City. I'll watch it against Liverpool because I'm a fan. Because I support the club, and this is how they treat you. Oh, hello. No. Oh, hello.
Andy Carroll.
Oh, it's the fucking hype, isn't it?
Isn't Sheffield Wednesday?
But yeah, in summary, it hasn't been good enough at all. Steve Bruce will come out and say, "Yeah, we tried. We gave it a good go," but we haven't. We have not given it a good go at all. And that's what really hurts me. And against City, we're going to get hammered. Against Liverpool, we're going to get hammered. Then we've got Arsenal in the FA Cup. Am I looking forward to that? No. It just doesn't end, mate. It just doesn't end. It's a continuous cycle of shite every fucking season.
That is a great way of describing it. 2 minutes to go of the added time. Daz, Steve Bruce is, basically got his fingers out going for, but God knows, complaining about the added time. It doesn't matter how much added time you've got, Steve. Playing like this, for God's sake, you could have an extra 40 minutes, mate, and you're not going to do anything.
Yeah. Twice.
Daz, yeah, me out. Daz, it's woeful, isn't it?
It is. At least we're out of the cup now. We can concentrate on our relegation battle. Focus on that. So because we've got nothing to look forward to till Sheffield United game maybe, and that who knows what will happen there as well. Yeah, it's bleak, but it's Christmas time. We can forget about the football for a while.
Is this a rugby pitch?
Yeah, Chris, it is used as a rugby pitch as well. Yes, mate. That's why there's those strange markings on it. There hasn't been some kind of UFO landed.
A game I know.
Save.
Although we could do with a close encounters of the third kind to take Steve Bruce on a long trip to try and get things back to normal. But we've got a minute left. Ivan Toney whips a ball across the box, and Darlow gets across. He would have saved it, I think. Look, again, very, very disappointing, Chris.
Yeah, I thought looking at the scoreline before I came on, 0-0, that we'd have something to look forward to in the second half, but it's just more shite, unfortunately. It seems like it's not going to get any better with Man City and Liverpool coming up in the league. We were flying high at 10th place, 10th position in the table. But I think that was a mirage, like a lot of stuff with Steve Bruce, and we really are a relegation battle team, not a top 10 Europe challenging team. This squad.
Yep. 30 seconds. Well, that's it. I would say we're just about waiting for the referee to put his whistle in his mouth. So
That's it.
Darlow's got the ball, and that's it. Yeah. Newcastle United are out of the Carabao Cup at the quarter-final stage, losing to Brentford by 1-0. Steve Bruce shakes the hands of his opposite number, and the Newcastle players trudge off, seemingly not bothered at all. Wow. Disappointing. Shane, I will come back to you, mate. As we finish off the show, we'll let's get your full-time analysis, and I will ask you for a man of the match. I don't expect you to give us one, though.
No, that's all right. I mean, the only positive is I put £10 on Brentford, so I'm quite happy now. I want a bit of money.
You can go and buy some sausages and some bacon and make your own pigs and blankets.
So yeah, I've won £14. I think that's the only positive. Yeah, happy with that.
Okay. Have you got a man of the match? Is there anybody comes out of that with any kind of positivity?
I mean, Cole Darlow, without a doubt, and it's the same every single week. If it wasn't for him, it would have been 3-0 easily. And I'm just fed up, Steve. Really, really fed up. It's been fucking bollocks, mate.
Yeah.
What can you say?
No problem, mate. I will let you get back to your family, mate. It's it's awful. It's been awful. That was Bruce Ball at its finest, Daz. Got to be honest. To see Newcastle dip out of the cup competition at the quarter-final stage is not really a great surprise. I don't think any of us were massively positive. I think the most positive scoreline was a potential 2-1. I think most of us felt it was going to go to extra time. I mean, penalties, sorry. But it hasn't. Brentford have won 1-0 and Newcastle are out. And that's the League Cup over for another season. But I think you more or less said there before, we now have a relegation battle to concentrate on. And although the table says we don't, we all know how this works. There's always one team drops like a proverbial stone, and none of us are kidding ourselves. The performances that this team has put in under Bruce have simply papered over the cracks, and the stats don't lie.
No, we know what's coming. I'll be disappointed this evening, but I'll then later I'll tell myself, look, we're never going to win the cup anyway, and then we can concentrate on the league and try to survive. There's tough games ahead. If you had the opportunity of progressing to the next round or a handful of points from the next three games, I'd take the handful of points. But it's bleak. It's hard to see a ray of light coming on for Newcastle over the next little while. We'll go back to hoping for our takeover again in January to come through to give us some kind of put some kind of a smile on our face, because the FA Cup as well. We're going to be playing Arsenal. Don't hold much hope for that, even though they're not in great form. But and sorry to answer your other question about man of the match. Apart from Shane and some of his comments, which were hilarious, I'd give Shane man of the match. But on the pitch, I'd give it to Darlow. He's the only one that put in some kind of a performance today.
Okay, Carl Darlow for you, Chrissy. I know you only watched half the game, mate, but what was your view on the second half? And did you have time to select a man of the match?
Yeah, first I want to say maybe Shane shouldn't spend that £14 right away with the January transfer window coming up. We're probably gonna get nothing, so we might be scrapping for a change in the transfer kitty. With our typical end of the transfer window free transfers. But as far as man of the match in this present day, it's nobody else but Darlow. I mean, a 1-0 loss is a kind result for the effort and that poor display that Newcastle put out there. Could have easily been 2 or 3 or more down, and They had like a no goal threat, so Darlow only.
Just interrupt you there, Chris Scott. Reading your comment there, mate. Obviously, I'll take it off the screen now. But if you are having those kind of thoughts, mate, please speak to somebody because football is not the be all and end all. Life is a lot more important than that, and it is very precious. So please, if you're having those kind of thoughts, please reach out to either me or one of the team who are on the screen, or somebody who's close to you, mate. Because it's not worth it. It's football. We've all got lives. We've all got something which we need to treasure, especially in these COVID-ridden times. So please, Scott, if that is a genuine cry for help, mate, please, feel free to reach out to one of us, mate, because it's football is irrelevant compared to that. So please reach out. Sorry, Chris.
No, just like you. There's always somebody there. If you reach out, somebody will lend a helping hand. So please do reach out to anyone you can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, please do, Scott. Pete, look, we know, listen, you've been very vocal tonight, as always. Disappointing. We've got to say congratulations to Brentford. They deserve to progress. They even picked a weaker team to try and give us a hand. And, Newcastle United couldn't even take advantage of that. It says a lot.
They made, 4 or 5 subs or 4 or 5 changes going into the game? 6 changes going into the game. Championship team didn't even get out of second gear and dominated us. Congratulations to Brentford. I don't particularly think they played very well, but they didn't have to, and that's the point. That is the point. They didn't have to play well to beat us, but we're saying it time and time again for teams that were coming up against us that they're not having to play well and getting something from us. And look. We talk about man of the matches, blah, blah, blah. Look, none of them. I cannot give a man of the match out there. I cannot possibly give a man of the match for that performance. That performance is a new low for Steve Bruce. An absolute new low. We've talked about how bad some of the performances have been this season. That, for me, is the worst of the worst. Okay? You've got a first-team lineup out there. You've got a chance to get to a semi-final. Okay? Bruce has put that team out. He's not managed the team well at all throughout the game. But as individual players, you've got a chance of getting to a semi-final. Come on. Put a little bit more effort in than that. Show a little bit more passion. Show a little bit more urgency about yourself. There was nothing there tonight. There was absolutely nothing. And I really fear for us. I fear for us because, I keep going back to the fixtures. We've got a line of fixtures up until the end of January where we'll be lucky to get a point from any of those games with the way that we're playing at the moment. And it's all right, pundits, like Jamie Redknapp on there, sympathising with Bruce early on in the evening. And you've got other people that come out there and say things, you're not in that bad of a position. Give it 2 or 3 games, that position is gone. Those points mean nothing. And we're well right back in the relegation fight. And I tell you what, if we get in that relegation fight, we ain't getting out. We ain't getting out because Mike Ashley has been well known, for making decisions far too late. He's done it all for his whole ownership of Newcastle United. He's made the right decision at the wrong time, far too late. He needs to do the right thing now. Okay, he needs to stop the rot before it sets in, and he needs to get a new manager in, a manager that's going to kickstart this squad, bring some life to this squad, give this squad a little bit of hope, a little bit of structure, a way of playing, some belief. We have none of that tonight, and we've had none of that for a number of weeks. And if it doesn't happen now, it'll be too late. It'll be far, far, far too late. That was a horrible performance tonight. I'm with Shane. I could have turned off. I could have turned off after 60 minutes. Okay, I don't, and I never do, but I could have. I'm just sick of watching it. And I'm sure everyone else on the chat, everyone else on the panel, yourself, Steve, we're sick of watching these awful, horrible performances. We've been lucky with the points that we've got recently. We were lucky with the draw to get to this point.
Can I ask a question?
On luck, we can't just keep depending on luck all the time. Sorry, Daz.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, does anyone think Bruce would walk He's not going to get sacked. I don't think he's going to get sacked. Anyone think he will walk?
No.
Look,
No.
this is his last job. This is his last job at Premier League at elite level. He knows it. We know it. He knows it. He knows he was lucky to even get this opportunity.
Yeah.
He was getting plucked from a mid-table Sheffield Wednesday, who had only been there for a matter of months. He knew it was his birthday when he got given the opportunity to take over this club. But seriously, he wasn't even on the list for the manager's job. There's talk of he even approaching Ashley for the job. It says everything. It says everything about Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce will claw and scratch and fight for every hour, every minute, every day that he's Newcastle manager, because he knows once he gets the boot, and he will, right? He will. There is no coming back. He will not be at elite level ever again. He'll be lucky to get a mid-table championship job. And Shane said that earlier, and I've said it for a while, and I completely agree with him. He'll be lucky to get a mid-table championship job again. It wouldn't surprise me if he retires from football management after Newcastle. That's how bad he is. And what he's doing now, he's ruining his own legacy. He could have walked away at the end of last season, knowing that he kept us up, right? He could have walked away into the sunset and gone off and done something else. He continued on, and all he's doing now is ruining all that good legacy that he built up over last season of keeping us in the league. Right? Yeah. For me, he doesn't make the season. He doesn't make the end of the season. He cannot possibly make the end of the season. And if he does, we're relegated. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I can't pick any positives out of that, Pete. Chris, I'm not even gonna ask Pete for a man of the match because I know he's just gonna say Carl Darlow.
I haven't got one.
You haven't got one.
Sorry.
No problem. Chris.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations to Brentford, fully deserved. Really, really pleased for them actually because their cup journey continues, and they fully deserved it tonight. So good news for Brentford. But yeah, in terms of Newcastle, I can't really add much more than what all the other panel have said. Really, it's not good enough. We all know it's not good enough. I've actually paused the telly because I want to see. Not that it matters, but I want to see what Redknapp says. I want to see what Micah Richards says, and I really want to see what Steve Bruce says because he can't regurgitate the same rubbish that has been coming out of his mouth. And I keep hoping for one day that he is honest and says, "Listen, it's not good enough. Players have let the fans down, etc., etc., etc. I've let the fans down. It's not good enough." But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I mean, we all know our future isn't Steve Bruce. My biggest hope for this season, as I said at the very start of the season, is that we get to 40 points as soon as possible. We've picked up some good points in the last few games, luckily. That's kept us kind of afloat. But as I've said previously, these next 6 or 7 games coming up are really going to challenge us. And if we carry on performing like that, our goal difference is going to go to shreds. And we'll soon find ourselves probably around the 16th, 17th mark. And the likes of Fulham, who are now starting to pick up, Brighton will naturally pick up. Burnley are picking up. West Brom under Sam Allardyce, whether you like him or not, will pick up. I think we'll be probably joining. We'll probably be joining the lower teams in the league at that moment. I think Fulham are going to be down. I think we'll be down. How I'm feeling now, we're going to be down there with them. And probably West Brom, but I don't know. I'm just really despondent. I mean, as you said rightly, Steve. Anyone who's feeling down or anyone who's feeling upset about the game, as we all are, don't feel down and upset yourself. Reach out. It is only football. It is depressing, I will admit. It's not nice to watch that as a fan, but hopefully better days around the corner, and we've all just got to stick together. But we all know, this isn't good enough, and we just need, to sit tight and try and pick up as many points as we can. And in terms of man of the match, Steve, yeah, it's Darlow, isn't it? Even though, I'm only giving it to him as a token. That's all it is. Yeah.
For all the bad pundits out there is always good ones. Mick Quinn's tweet, poor again from Newcastle United, getting knocked out of the cup. The team, like the manager, are simply not good enough, but we will probably get the pundits saying Bruce is doing a great job again. Is it so wrong for the fans to demand better after all the crap that's been served up lately? Well said, Mick Quinn. I think we'll leave that last word for today with Mick. Tomorrow I will be back 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Steve Howie and Lee Clark. We'll be doing a live, so if you want to listen to what two former Newcastle legends have to say on Newcastle's season so far, tune in then. That should be interesting. And we will be back 6 o'clock tomorrow night with a retro show with me, George Mitchell, Neil Mitchell, Steve Hasty, Stu Penman and Steve Wilkinson to look back at Newcastle's matches against Leeds. We will all be chipping in on Christmas Eve just to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Again, that's around about 6 o'clock. So whoever can join us can join us. Don't forget, we are running a campaign throughout December, which is Think Before You Tweet. And the documentary is now live on the channel. Just look for Think Before You Tweet on the playlist. 2-hour documentary, which has been very well received. Good night to all the panel. I hope you have a good night, lads, and make sure you don't forget your last minute shopping. I hope you get your pigs and blankets as well.
Cheers, Steve. Appreciate it.
Take care, lads. See you for
Take
the
care,
next.
lads.
See you for the match. Take care. Bye bye.